Looking back in front of me, the mirror's a grin. Through eyes of love I see, I'm really looking at a friend. We fall out of problems, it's the way life is. My heart goes out to others, we're there to make amends.
Today the whirlwind comes to Martinsville. TNN Motorsports proudly presents live exclusive coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 from the famed Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. It is a beautiful, perfect day for racing. Scarcely a cloud in the sky. The temperature's going into the 70s, and on the track it's going to get even hotter. Hello everybody, I'm Mike Joy. Today, NASCAR's Busch Grand National Series takes on the toughest, tightest racetrack in the nation. Martinsville Speedway has drag strips, straightaways, and tight paper clip U-turns. You need torque, you need top end, you need brakes, and you need handling. It's a tough test of man and machine. And a man who knows that well stands next to me. One day here in a Winston Cup car, he ran 150 laps side by side with Richard Petty before he ended up in victory lane. Buddy Baker.
Well, it was a thrill for me, and I know it's going to be a thrill for whoever wins today. Just to make the field anymore, you have to really have it together. There's a lot of pressure on these guys, and I tell you what, out of the top 20, there's only one previous winner this year.
And to make those sponsors happy, that is a tall, tough order, and those other 19 guys are really going to be looking for that today. Interesting front row. Neither have yet won a race this year. Maybe today. Let's find out. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Mike. David Green has qualified his Slim Jim Chevrolet on the pole for the second time this year, but he's still looking for that first victory for Bobby Labonte Racing. But I think all eyes today are going to be on Virginia's favorite son, Hermie Sadler. Hermie drives the Virginia Is for Lovers Chevrolet. There's only a few last-minute repairs to the car here right now. In fact, Hermie's helping out. We'll get a word with him. Hermie, be awfully nice to win in front of the Virginia fans here today. You got a good car.
Yeah, we really do, Glenn. Practice went awful well for us yesterday, and my guys did a super job of getting this car back together after a bad weekend last weekend, and couldn't think of a better time to pick up a win and right here at Martinsville here in Virginia. So we're looking forward to a good day, and hope we can get to victory lane.
Well, what are we doing here right now?
Well, my rear view mirror is a little bit loose, and I got it adjusted. We're trying to tighten it up so I can hopefully see all these guys behind me today and not in front of me, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, that's a pretty good outlook, Mike.
It sure is, Glenn. And we'll be back to the Martinsville Speedway. Get ready to start this race after this.
Exclusive TNN coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 from Martinsville is brought to you by cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. By Polaroid, pick up a Polaroid camera and pick up the fun. And by Split Fire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more till you use it.
A lot of the talk at Martinsville in pre-race was that first lap incident last week at Atlanta involving this car of the pole sitter at Atlanta, Shauna Robinson, and Mike Wallace, who started third and tried to take the lead in the backstretch of the first lap. Here's what happened at Atlanta going into turn 3. Wallace is right down on the white dashed line. He does not move up the racetrack, but Robinson slides up into Joe Nemechek, sending both cars up into rather heavy damage. We talked to both drivers.
Atlanta goes, you know, there's been so many opinions, and I think everybody's valued to those opinions, and just, you know, people that voice them, that's just what they think.
I think it's very evident for the people that watched the tape of the race that I did nothing wrong. And that's really all I have to comment on. You know, I was accused of a lot of things that I didn't do. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that type of driver. I'm in this business for a long, long-term career, and I plan on being here. And if something like that, if I did something like that, it sure wouldn't help my career. And so I'm very careful on what I say, who I talk to about statements of that nature. But as of saying I was going to try to lead the first lap, yes, I did.
Well, you see all three cars here. They're very close, and what might have happened here is the two cars on the side deprived the car of the air and took it off the rear spoiler, causing her to go up into Nemechek on the outside there and putting her in a spin here.
But we've seen other replays, including an aerial shot, that clearly shows there was no contact between Mike Wallace and Shauna Robinson, and that Wallace did not move up the racetrack. What made Shauna get loose? Here's Glenn.
Well, Mike, very simply, when the car is going through the air at a fast place like Atlanta, the air rushes around the side of the car as well as along the top. This air coming across the side of the car goes by the rear windshield post here, turns and hits the rear spoiler. That helps to stabilize the car. When you get another car along beside it, that upsets that airflow, keeps it off the rear spoiler, makes the back end of the car very loose. That seems to be what happened to Shauna.
Well, for what else happened at Atlanta, let's take a look at this week's Havilland update. Last Saturday, the Busch Grand National Series was at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Busch Light 300. Harry Gant led a total of 86 laps to notch his 21st career Busch Series victory, tying him for 5th on the all-time list. His car-owner, Ed Whitaker, scored his 27th career win, moving him up to 2nd all-time, and moving Gant up to 2nd in the points behind Terry Labonte, ahead of Hermie Sadler, Kenny Wallace, and Chad Little. In the Penrose Rookie Challenge standings, Dennis Setzer leads Johnny Benson, Randy Porter, Kurt Shelmerdine, and Mike Garvey. You know, there's a lot said and a lot written in the racing press. There was one very inflammatory article in a racing paper titled "Sexual Harassment on the Racetrack," and I think now that folks have calmed down and had a chance to see the tapes, I don't feel Mike Wallace caused that accident.
I don't either. I don't think he had anything to do with it.
Well, now for today, Sears Die Hard with more power when you need it most presents the starting grid. On the pole, David Green, 3rd career pole and 2nd of 1994. Hermie Sadler, 2nd time he's been on the front row here. Row 2, Terry Labonte, the Busch Series point leader, and Ricky Craven with 3rd place finishes the last 2 races here. Row 3, ASA champion Johnny Benson, and Doug Hevron, the former modified ace, posts his best qualifying effort of the year. The fastest forward in the field is Tim Fedoy. He'll start 7th. And Johnny Rumley, last year's Hickory winner, goes 8th. Another modified standout, Mike McLaughlin, has a lot of laps here. He's qualified 9th. And Mike Wallace, 2nd here in 92 in the fall, starts 10th. Dennis Setzer finished 8th at Atlanta last week. He'll start 11th. Bobby Dotter has 4 top 10 finishes here. Row number 7, Jim Bound, his first start here in 2 years. And George Crenshaw graduates from the Dash Series and makes his first start of the season. Rodney Combs in a brand new race car finished up at 5 a.m. yesterday. Starts 15th, and Tracy Leslie, 5th here in 92. Jason Keller ran 10th at Richmond. He'll be in row number 9, along with Tommy Houston, the new driver of the Luxair Ford for this week. Row number 10, Richard Lassiter posts a good qualifying effort, and Tom Peck, who ran 3rd here in 1990. Row 11, Elton Sawyer in a Ford, and Tommy Ellis takes over the drive of Randy McDonald. Row number 12, Robert Presley, runner-up here in 1990, Kenny Wallace, who won here 2 years ago. Shauna Robinson starts in row number 13 with Kevin LePage off the NASCAR North Series. Clay Brown out of Pensacola, Florida, and Larry Pearson, former Busch champ. Michael Rich makes his 3rd Martinsville start. And USAC midget champ Stevie Reeves. Randy LaJoy comes back to Martinsville for the first time in 5 years with Randy Porter. Chad Little, who finished 3rd at Daytona, and Mike Garvey off the All-Pro Series makes his first Martinsville start. Martinsville Speedway, half a mile around, 800-foot straightaways, 12-degree bank in the turns.
Mike,
tough place.
Mike, it's the last rest they have for 300 laps right now.
That's for sure.
Very tight racetrack.
You're seeing this view inside Tom Peck's Channel Lock Chevrolet. And there's a look at the doggy out the window cam, Gary Clem, our director, likes to call it. That's what he'll see out the right side. We'll also have a face cam in Tom's car. And we've got an under the bumper stealth cam that not only looks out the back of the car, but it'll come all the way around and show you how that car is working in the rear suspension as we get set to go racing at Martinsville. Green flag for the first of 300 laps. And on the brake, it is Hermie Sadler up the outside. David Green, the pole sitter, not going to lead this first lap.
You know, all day yesterday, Hermie Sadler had the fastest car in practice and all. I look for great things out of him today.
First time that Sadler has ever led the opening lap of a Busch Series race. I am hearing Tom Peck's in car. David Green in 2nd, Terry Labonte in 3rd. Craven in 4th, Benson in 5th, Hevron in 6th.
You know, around the bottom of the racetrack here, you see a yellow line right around going into the corner here. That's a curb that's up higher than the exhaust pipes and all. If you hit that, it knocks the car way out in the corners there. Makes it pretty hard to control.
And if a car spins down to the inside, it can actually hang the car up on that curb. There's your front five. They've got about a car length separation to Doug Havron. Spin in the backstretch. Stevie Reeves goes around. Caution. Single car incident. He was all by himself.
I'm not going to say he clobbered that girl today.
No, Darrell said that at Richmond. I told him leave the puns to the professionals. Darrell will be back with us later in the season. Stevie Reeves goes around. Understand Tony George, who owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Holman family, is the spotter for Stevie Reeves on race day.
Well, the good part, he didn't lose the lap there.
He's on the lead lap, and we're under caution. We'll be right back. Green flag for the restart here in Martinsville. Hermie Sadler steps out with the lead, and Buddy, very quickly this field goes single file here.
Oh, you have to be on the bottom of the racetrack here. That outside there is kind of like water you don't use. That's just something there to, in case you get in the slide, you have a little longer before you get to the wall.
Tom Peck battling with Tommy Ellis. Randy McDonald was the driver of that car until last week, and we understand one of the reasons the change was made in that 05 car is because Ellis has that champion's provisional available to him if he needs it. That was one of the reasons that was reported. But Tommy Ellis replaces the Canadian driver Randy McDonald behind the wheel of that car. And Ellis is a former winner here.
Well, you know, Mike, that's going to be real important to a lot of race teams is that provisional, because at some time during the year, every team here is going to have trouble making the field with so many good race cars for every field.
That's exactly right. And a lot of good cars went home this weekend. We'll show you a list of those a bit later on. Riding with Tom Peck in the Grissom Racing Channel Lock Chevy. There he is, number 31, just ahead of Tommy Ellis and Kenny Wallace. In fact, there are no bad cars in this field. Like I say, a lot of good cars went home, but there are no field fillers.
No, what they have to do right now is be very patient and not get themselves in a bad spot, because if you get on the outside right now, I guarantee you could go from first to last in no time flat.
The light colored pavement here at Martinsville in the corners is concrete. They had asphalt, but it started getting torn up, so Clay Earls paved it with concrete. As you watch number 8 Kenny Wallace try to move up on Ellis.
Yeah, we was talking to Kenny Wallace yesterday, and he said he was turning 8,600 down the straightaway, which is 8,600 RPMs that that motor's turning. He changed gears just before qualifying, and it really messed the car up. There's cars here reporting they're turning 8,900 to 9,000.
That is unbelievable, especially for 300 laps here. But you need such a low gear to get off the corner here, because torque is so important, but you can't risk winding out of it at the end of the straightaway. The straightaways are so long. Let's show you what's happening on the left rear of Tom Peck's car.
Wow, look at that tire going back and forth there. You think it's smooth, but it's not as smooth as it looks. Now down the straightaway, you can see it stabilize itself again. That's the trailing arm just on the right side of the tire there, going up and down. That's what the shock hooks do. And these adjustments there, that's when you hear somebody say they changed the Panhard bar. That's the Panhard bar holes there.
Coming up off the corner. Thanks to Paul Boykin, Doug Parr, and the folks at Boykin for 4 different cameras in Tom Peck's car today. Just trying out some new tricks for you folks to help you enjoy this race a little better at home. 13 laps complete. And Peck moving up on the number 1 of Tommy Houston, who is in that car. It's a one-day ride for Houston in that white number 1 Luxair Ford, as Kenny Wallace moves outside Tommy Ellis.
If he makes that work, I'm gonna know something.
I think so. I think we all are.
Well, I tell you what, he made it look pretty easy. And Tommy Ellis gets around this racetrack extremely well, so Kenny Wallace he's hooked up. When you can pass a car on the outside here, you have really done something.
TIC Financial Thunderbird of Phil Martossi. Kenny Wallace, former runner-up for the Busch Championships, going after Tom Peck.
This won't last long. There'll be other people trying that higher groove. It looks like it's working pretty well, as long as you stay on the white part of that racetrack. Now, if you get out on the outside there's a lot of junk out there, and that thing will turn around on you in a minute.
Second place, David Green, Terry Labonte, lapping past Mike Garvey, the All-Pro standout, who took the 34th spot in this field.
What about your brother's car leading you in a race? You'd have to be a little careful, or you'd get a little squawking at the dinner table, don't you think?
Well, it doesn't make Bobby Labonte too nervous. Bobby Labonte owns the number 44 car. He's here as the spotter for David Green. had a real tough incident last week when his plane had to belly flop at Winston-Salem Airport when the gear wouldn't go down. As was reported in the paper, that the damage looked cosmetic, and Bobby thought, well, we can just beat out the under panel of this thing. He got the estimate yesterday, $71,000 worth of damage. The pilot made a great landing. Everybody was unhurt, but it's going to be an expensive repair. Let's check with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, early in the race, we're seeing Mike Garvey fall way back. He's already gone a lap down to the leader. Mike Garvey's a good race car driver. They've had problems with that car all week long. He said it felt like the rear end was solid in the car. They just couldn't get the car to come off the corner, so he's in for a long day, already going a lap down.
Mike Garvey in car 0, racing out of Atlanta, Georgia. So the Labonte brothers' cars run 2nd and 3rd. Bobby's car with David Green aboard. And Terry Labonte, who is the Busch point leader, asked Terry yesterday, asked him if he was making these guys nervous that he might stick around and run the whole season leading there in points. He said that would be tough to do.
Mike, that would have to be tempting to anybody to win a national championship, no matter what division it is. I'm sure that M&W Windows has got to be proud. They're just across the road here. I'm sure that's why he's here today. But it'd be tough for him to run in a couple of weeks from now at Orange Speedway.
Well, that's true, except he's got the ride of his life now in Winston Cup with the Rick Hendrick team and doing a great job. Here's Larry Pearson in 92, Mac Martin, Stanley Tools Chevy, and Randy LaJoie and Chad Little. LaJoie and Dick Moroso's number 20, a Chevrolet. This is for 23rd spot. And Chad Little in the Bayer Select Ford of Mark Rippon. LaJoie in number 20 started 31st. He is up to 23rd position. Right behind them, that group is Kevin LePage, the Vermont Teddy Bear car. They got a 9-foot teddy bear out there that Darrell Waltrip says his daughter has to have. I found out what it cost.
Yeah, right.
Darrell's going to need some more of those top 5 finishes. Shauna Robinson makes a move on Kevin LePage. Good battle here.
That's a great checkup she just did there. She had the inside, but I guarantee you the 71 car couldn't see her up under the quarter panel there, and she checked up just at the right time, or they might have had a little collision there.
LePage, good young driver. He comes off the Busch North circuit, trying to make a name for himself down south. He and Robinson battle. That's for 25th. Let's go back to 26th spot. Michael Rich in the 02, and the 99 there is Robert Presley sporting new colors, and he's getting passed by the 35 car of Randy Porter.
You know, when the chassis goes away here at Martinsville, it goes away. I mean, it makes the car drive terrible. So what they're probably waiting on is first pit stop, and they'll adjust these cars that are running around the bottom of the racetrack right now.
Clay Brown of Pensacola getting overlapped by the leaders. Hermie Sadler leading David Green, Terry Labonte, Ricky Craven, and Johnny Benson. We'll be right back. A couple of unscheduled pit stops in the early going. Johnny Benson Jr. was running 5th in the Staff America Chevy, and now you see that car came into the pits. They lifted the hood, looked under the left side, and they're pushing it behind the wall. Also George Crenshaw in the Campbell Soup Chevrolet.
Mike, the pressure on these teams is so such, they have to pull so much gear and all. You're going to see a lot of this. I mean, to run well, you have to turn the car more than you want to.
And Mike Wallace has just taken the FDP brakes, Duran Paints Chevy, behind the wall after a pit stop, and is driving that up toward the truck. Now, a moment ago, here's Tommy Ellis, and you're watching from underneath the rear bumper of Tom Peck's car.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
You know, you saw his car jump up in the air. That was a curb he hit. It looked like he just slammed right into the 05 car, but he didn't. He hit the curb a little bit, and it jumped over on him. I was looking at that one.
Ellis did complete the pass on Tom Peck. They're trying to get Benson back in the race. They're under the right side of his car. They're under the hood on Mike Wallace and George Crenshaw. Here's your leader, Hermie Sadler.
You know, they're using a ignition chip in this car where at 8600, 8700, it quits running. It actually cuts off.
Randy LaJoie completes the pass on Larry Pearson. They had been nose to tail for the last 15 laps. And Chad Little is right there. Interesting that this Moroso team, now, buddy, you drive a car that looks just like this in some of the Winston Cup races, but it's interesting. Poor Bob Rinaldi, the engine builder, he's got to build Chevy V6s for this car, and he's got to build Ford V8s for you.
Well, I tell you what, that car looks a little bit like mine, but the past couple of races, mine's had the nose up over the hood and the tail up over the rear deck lid. I mean, but no, he does a great job, and I tell you, nobody builds a better V6 than Bob Rinaldi does.
Tall order. 59 car. Dennis Setzer off the pace. Smoke trailing from the Alliance Tractor Trailer Training Chevrolet. Here's Glenn.
A lot of engine problems early here today. Mike Wallace brought his car in. Work has continued on it, but they do have an engine problem. Mike had an awfully good run going. Tough luck.
Not sure what you said, Glenn, but it appears we must have something going wrong in the motor. You know, burned a piston, broke a rocker arm or something like that. It's a shame. We've had a real good run going up to that point. You know, the FTP brakes, Duron Payne's car ran excellent. And, we're behind the wall at the moment. Hopefully they can tune on it a little bit and we can salvage the finish. Otherwise, we go on to Darlington next week and run our Busch car down there in our new Heilig Myers Ford Thunderbird there.
Okay, better luck next week.
George Crenshaw's back on the racetrack. And Dennis Setzer continues to run, though he is slowing. There's Shauna Robinson getting overlapped by Hermie Setzer, who is setting quite a pace here. Now David Green is right with him, but they are pretty much running off from the rest of this field.
Yeah, I thought he was catching Hermie at a big clip a while ago, but it looks like it kind of stabilized at the moment. What they have to do, they have to be real careful not to abuse the brakes and maybe have the pedal start down on it.
Johnny Rumley in 00. The Taco Bell Chevy up on the outside of Tim Fedowa, who was the fastest Ford in this field and is looking for sponsorship. Kenny Wallace, look how far Kenny's moved up. Those are all top 10 qualified cars. Mike McLaughlin in the Fiddle Faddle Chevy right there. 34.
He's not worried about brakes. All he wants to do is get up in front, because I tell you, this is an advantage to be up front and not have a whole bunch of traffic around you at this racetrack.
Brakes here are so critical, and ducting to the brakes is so important. We saw one car down in the garage area yesterday that actually had a fan inside the ductwork to the brakes to blow cool air through there, just to get more cooling air in there on those brakes.
Well, that's what it is, Mike. It's a boat pump. It blows air in, you know, like exhaust.
Yeah, bilge blower.
Right. That's exactly what it is. And they put them inside the pipe there and blow straight into the brake.
Sometimes even that doesn't help. Sometimes.
No, you still have to regulate that right foot on it.
Yes. Johnny Benson's car is behind the wall. He was running 5th when that car went back there. Glenn, what's up?
Well, Mike, also work continues on this car. Johnny's sitting impatiently by. We'll ask him. Johnny, what happened?
Well, you know, I'm not sure exactly. It looks like we broke rear end yoke on front of the rear end, and, you know, Staff America Chevrolet Lumina was running real good, you know. It's just one of them things that happen. We'll get it fixed. We'll get back up and run some more laps.
Well, all these guys are chasing points, so they're going to repair these cars, get them back out there as quickly as they can.
Thanks, Glenn. A little bit of shoving match between Mike McLaughlin battling with Tim Fedowa a lap ago, and
they're going to run out of patience here pretty quick, because the lead cars are coming up to put a lap on some really good race cars right now. That's the advantage of not having to fight with traffic. That lead car got an open track, and he is really catching this second bunch here.
Kenny Wallace got past this group. McLaughlin had some tough times qualifying on the super speedways, but he's got a lot of laps here at Martinsville in the modified, and posted a top 10 qualifying effort, as did Tim Fedowa in that Ford. Bobby Dotter's car very slow down the front straightaway. Thought it broke, but now it's kind of limping around the DeWalt Tools Chevy. Don't know what happened there. He was running in 9th position, and now he's just limping that car around, trying to get it back to pit road.
Uh-oh. I don't believe he's going to make it all the way around. That may be our first caution right there.
Tough break for Dotter. They had just changed this car over. It was a 3-link rear suspension, and they just finally gave up on that. They changed it to a truck trailing arm like most of these cars, and had a good qualifying run, but a short day.
He did make it down the back straightaway and got into the pits there. I know that makes Hermie and them happy. They're putting laps on some really good race cars right now.
Moving around, Robert Presley yet again. That budget gourmet Chevy. That is a 5-race sponsorship, we're told, for Robert Presley. They're still looking for a full season deal, as are many of these teams.
You hear people talk about where's the future in racing. You're looking at them right there. There's two good representatives of what's coming up to the Winston Cup division pretty quick here.
Sadler and Green now have a pack of tough traffic to get through. Tom Peck just ahead and Johnny Rumley. Then that Chad Little, Randy LaJoie battle. You're in Bobby Dotter's pit.
Well, what do you think on that?
I think behind the wall.
No, he's going back out.
Well,
what it was, I think maybe the ignition went bad on the car because it was dead in the water when it come by the first time.
Well, they've switched it over and he's coming back up to speed.
There's our cam car just in front of the leader car fixing to go a lap down there. I know Tom Peck's not happy about this.
These flat racetracks, buddy, you either catch the setup or you miss it. There's not a lot of in between, is there?
Yeah, and your crew will say, hey, you're fixing to go a lap down. Believe me, he knew that a long time ago. He's seen that car coming. Not a thing he can do about it until they get to adjust on the car.
You know, as we saw that shot from the side, a lot of folks, there is a tire battle going on, as you know, Goodyear's versus Hoosiers. And Debbie Bound mentioned in the meeting there's an easy way to tell them apart if you have a good TV set at home.
Yep, you can see the Hoosiers are white walls and the Goodyear's a gold wall. The gold wall's winning right now.
Yep, that's the way they're lettered. Yellow lettering on the side of the Goodyear tires. You saw it there as David Green was going past Tom Peck. Easy way to tell who's on what tire. Well, kind of easy way. Hermie Sadler leading this race. We asked him about inspiration he received early on in his career.
I always used to like Cale Yarborough when I was coming along. I used to like the way he drove, and of course, when I was coming along, he was the one that won a lot of races, and he was on a GM product at the time. So I learned to like him a little bit and follow him, and he's still a good, big hero of mine.
Well, it's getting real interesting now. You're watching forward from Tom Peck's car. At second place, David Green. Third place, Terry Labonte trying to move under. And look at the pack of cars the leaders have caught now.
Yeah, I was talking a while ago. Everybody's taking it easy on each other, but it's time to go now. You get a lap down here in Martinsville. That means a bunch to them. You can see the 20 car Randy LaJoie there. He's starting to push and shove just a little bit. It's desperation time.
Yeah, he's trying to keep from getting lapped, as is Chad Little, as is Jason Keller, Jim Bound, and then Tommy Ellis, all right ahead of Sadler. Carl Simmons is working the passing flag, but these fellas are racing for position as well as trying to keep from being a lap down.
Well, they're going to do everything in the world they can do to stay in the same lap. You wonder why they don't just pull over. Like you said, they're racing for position and track position also.
That's Keller, the white car in 57, again, another unsponsored car that could use some help. It needs a little help staying on the lead lap right now, but that's a good running race car. It's just the Sadler right now at this point in the race is just so much better than this pack.
Man, there's nothing like this good close quarter racing. I love to watch people work in traffic. You see the 20 car there just kind of go into a place. It wasn't really a hole. Up.
No, it wasn't a hole. And it's still not a hole. And here comes Hermie around the outside. When LaJoie and Keller got to doing a little beating there in turn 3, and look at Sadler get carried way up the racetrack by 57 Keller, and LaJoie takes advantage. He's back on the lead lap.
Well, that's why you got to drive every lap like it's the last one when you're almost a lap down.
Now Chad Little gets underneath. He's trying to get underneath Jason Keller. Keller's running as hard as he can.
Oh.
And Little got a little bite out of the left rear corner of Jason Keller. And again, Sadler gets shoved way up the racetrack.
You see David Green there. He's just waiting to see what's happening. Right behind him is Terry Labonte. Now, this is good close quarter racing. Nobody's smoother than
and around goes Keller off the bumper of Chad Little. Caution is out. Caution is out, and the two guys that get saved are Tim Fedowa and Randy LaJoie.
That's why you race every lap now. You see the 20 car stayed in the lead lap, and he can close right up on the tail of them.
Here's what happened.
Chad Little just got into the back, and around he goes.
Little was lucky not to get caught up in that, as was the rest of the field following through. Don't know if Little managed to stay on the lead lap or not. Let's see here. See, LaJoie was into Tim Fedowa as well. Oh, yes. And the hits keep on coming. Terry Labonte moves up to second place past David Green on that.
Mike, I used to hate to race after Martinsville. I didn't have anybody to speak to me when I went to the next race.
No friends left. Glenn?
Mike, we're down in Hermie Sadler's pits. Bobby King. Bobby, first of all, the car is really hooked up, but a lot of anxious moments around that lap traffic.
Can't hear a thing you said.
I said a lot of anxious moments around all that lap traffic.
You're right. We have a whole lot of anxious moments right there. I tell you the truth, we're doing a real good job in that traffic, and I hope he can continue to do a good job and look real good right now, and I hope we'll come home with a win today. We had a bad week last week.
What'd you do to that car? That thing is flying.
Well, we got it hooked up. We've been good since we got here. You know how that goes. If you're good when you get here, you're good all day.
Well, he's been good so far.
Thanks, Glenn. Johnny Benson Jr. is coming back into the race after a long stay behind the wall for drive shaft trouble. We'll be right back to Martinsville after this.
Miles an hour, that's exciting. These are just flakes.
Well, what do you think?
These are really good. They're crispy, too.
Really?
Yeah, they're mighty good even with nothing on them. What are they?
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah. Kellogg's Corn Flakes? How could I be so dumb?
You got 500 miles to think about it.
Kellogg's is proud to sponsor NASCAR champion Terry Labonte.
Presenting the Yardman 3-in-1 self-propelled mower. It mulches, bags, discharges, has a 6-speed drive and a ferocious 5.5 horsepower engine, all for the price.
Exclusive coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 on TNN is brought to you by Napa. We keep America running.
Working the second caution flag of the day and just about to get back to green. This one occasioned when Chad Little got together with Jason Keller. Both those cars ended up a lap down. There are only 12 cars on the lead lap, the pace that Hermie Sadler's been setting. Sadler, Terry Labonte, David Green, Ricky Craven, Doug Hevron, Kenny Wallace, Mike McLaughlin, Rodney Combs, Tracy Leslie, Tommy Ellis, Randy LaJoie, and Tim Fedua are the cars on the lead lap. And Terry Labonte gets into the back of Chad Little, and Chad ends up hitting Hermie Sadler, David Green, Jason Keller, all involved. Shauna Robinson, Tracy Leslie, George Crenshaw.
Boy, when Chad Little got in the back of him, that just triggered a big accident there. I hate that for Hermie Sadler. His car was running so well.
Started when Terry Labonte and Chad Little got together. Chad was trying to get back on the lead lap. That sent Chad Little into the race leader, Hermie Sadler, who now sits parked at turn 2.
Okay, you see him going in here. They touch the quarter panel right there. Well,
yeah, he got in, and then he got in.
Yeah, he got into the rear there, but I'm not sure that Terry caused that. I think he just drove her on in there to make sure he could close the door and got in the back.
But look at everybody that piles up afterwards. Chad Little comes to pit lane, and the Busch official is holding him. He is in the penalty box.
You could clearly see there that the 23 car just run in the corner just a little bit harder and got in the back of Hermie Sadler's car and turned him there. Terry Labonte he didn't touch him. That's a real shame for everybody involved there, because up to this point everybody was just kind of nudging a little, but that was a hard hit there.
And the fastest car in the field has now gone a couple laps down, and looks like it will go off on the hook. Last year's Rookie of the Year from Emporia, Virginia, Hermie Sadler is climbing out. Third caution of the day. We'll be right back. I think the action's tight and tough at Martinsville. Wait 2 weeks when we go to Hickory Motor Speedway, the Sun Drop 400. April 3rd on TNN, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time on the 3rd mile at Hickory, North Carolina. Hermie Sadler has climbed out of his car and is walking back toward the truck. Tough day. Mark Rippon's car, driven by Chad Little, still sits in the penalty box. And after another look at replays during commercial, well, let's show you again down here in turn 1.
Well, you see him going in the corner here. It looks like they were just about to touch, and I think the 23 accelerated a little bit there and got into the back of Hermie Sadler's car and turned him in. Now, the rest of this is chain reaction. You see nowhere for the 57 car to go. Shauna Robinson barely got touched on the left rear quarter there. She's the luckiest of all the people in there.
Now that's George Crenshaw and Tracy Leslie tied up there. And they are working on Sadler's car behind the wall. It looks like they may try and get him back into this race. Third caution of the day, multi-car crash on the restart in turn 1. We'll be right back. We're getting set for the restart. It is not often you see the leader's car taken out from behind on a restart, but Glenn is with Hermie Sadler.
An awfully disappointed Hermie Sadler, and rightfully so. You had the class of the field. Hermie, what do you think happened out there?
I don't know, Glenn. You know, I had trouble getting by the 23 before the caution came out. You know, I don't really know what happened. I got on the restart there, and I had Chad cleared. I got down in the bottom, and then coming off too, he got into the back of me. I don't know really what happened, but I do know I've always shown a lot of respect for the other guys that were leading the race when I wasn't quite as fast, and I didn't get that same respect, and I think it's unfortunate.
Well, I think it is too. He showed a lot of patience, did a great job. Too bad for this guy. He had a fast car.
And I think it showed a lot of restraint in talking about it, because he was, to this point, the fastest car in the race. He also was third among the Busch Series regulars in the point standings going into today. And this will be a devastating finish if they're not able to repair that car. Chad Little is back on track after spending 5 laps in the penalty box. And Larry Pearson gets into the back of Michael Rich at the front of the field, trying to get trying to get his lap back.
You see a little peck like that, that's almost like saying, how do you do, welcome to Martinsville. That really don't mean anything. They're just letting them know they're there and trying to get back in the lead lap. I'm sure it's what Pearson's trying to do right now.
The Hams Restaurant Chevrolet of Michael Rich and Larry Pearson trying to get up and under and be in a position to challenge Terry Labonte to get back on the lead lap, and it's not going to happen right there. Ricky Craven is now the second place car. Up to third is Kenny Wallace. What a drive for Wallace. He started deep in the field, 24th spot.
He does a great job on TV as an analyst and does a really good job behind that wheel, so he's got it pretty well covered right now.
Mr. Personality, as car owner calls him. Uh-oh. Little bump and bump. That's Jim Bound going around. And one car up to the wall is Mike McLaughlin in turn 4. Mike McLaughlin, who was the 6th place car, is going to stay on the lead lap here, it looks like, as they come around to the caution. Well, he's going to try to stay on the lead lap here.
Hurry. Ah, he made it.
Close call. And a little smoke showing from the rear of the Fiddle Faddle Hyde Tools Chevy. The owners of that car, and there's a little damage to the left front Goodyear. You see it's yellow on the side from the Goodyear lettering. C.C. Welliver, and Gittler own that car. Sounded like a law firm, so they changed the name to 34 Racing. There's Bound going around, and I guess everybody was checking up because McLaughlin had already spun.
That's what happens when one car slows and the second car slows, third car slows, you run out of slowing down places.
Yeah. Former national modified champion Mike McLaughlin. In fact, he won that championship for Bill Carrazzo. The crew chief was Clyde McLeod, who is now, and has been for a couple of years, the crew chief on this car.
I knew that, Mike. Did you know that? You wouldn't even.
I just said it. I guess I must have known it. Oh, yeah. They're all modified guys from way back.
Yeah,
Steve
I know
Hellwig,
all these guys. Yeah.
Steve Hellwig, big guy, the gas man. He was with that modified team, and the Zippy brothers, and it was quite a crew. They had a lot of fun. They raced hard and played hard.
You know, you see something there. Most of these drivers wear a full-face helmet right now. I'm going to tell you something. Bill Simpson, if you live and I love you, you saved my life twice this year already. That helmet that you gave me about 2 months ago, I used it up in Atlanta, and I promise you it did its job.
Tom Peck at work.
For you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, I crashed in qualifying in Atlanta and just tore my car all to pieces. And I tried everything that Simpson makes out, and it all worked very well for me. Seat belts, helmet, release.
What happened there? You had, folks said you had the second or third fastest car off the truck at Atlanta.
Well, I had probably the fastest car that I've driven in 4 or 5 years. And I really wanted to try to get the pole, and I run out of talent before I run out of everything else. I got a little sideways, I stood back in the throttle, it turned around and into the wall with me. But, you know, when you have a chance to sit on the pole, you don't worry about the car getting a little loose on you. And maybe I should have checked up, but I never raced like that my whole career, and it got the best of me there. But we're going to run Talladega, and I feel good about it.
We'll see you there. Great. We are 84 laps into the Miller Genuine Draft 500, 300 laps of this. Then there'll be a 200-lap late model stock car race. Here's a look at your top 10 as they were running at the caution flag. Lining them up for the restart next time by. It'll be Terry Labonte up front. And here on the short tracks in this series, the cars on the lead lap start in the inside lane. On the super speedway is the outside. Mike McLaughlin, who is the 10th place car right now, has taken that car behind the wall. They're going to pull out the left front fender and have a look under the hood. Labonte the leader, Ricky Craven in second, Kenny Wallace in third, Doug Hevron fourth, Rodney Combs is up to fifth. Sixth is Tommy Ellis, seventh Randy LaJoie, eighth is Tim Fedewa, and ninth is David Green.
You see these cars moving around on the straightaway. They're cleaning the rubber, excess rubber off the tires, so when they do start back under green, when you start down in the corner, the car will turn. And with all that buildup, it just goes straight if you didn't wax it off of there.
So we're back to green, and Michael Rich will try to get a lap back from Terry Labonte, and will do so at turn 2.
Terry don't want part of that car, does he?
No. One car, I think it was Tracy Leslie, got a little chunk of the wall on the backstretch there.
You see Larry Pearson moving up there. I think Terry's car runs a little bit better after 4 or 5 laps. He don't seem to have a lot of go power right at first. The 00 there, it's good to see. Let me see.
Rumley, Johnny Rumley.
Johnny Rumley back in the air. You know, he won at Hickory last year and did a great job, and here he is up front again this week.
And here's Labonte underneath Michael Rich to take that lap back from the Ham's Restaurant car. The MW Windows Chevy. A lot of folks here from that company that backs Labonte's Winston Cup car. As Buddy mentioned, they're located just down the street here from Martinsville Speedway, and they've got a big crowd on hand.
Boy, that car is working perfect. He was right on that yellow line all the way through the corner. I guarantee you one thing, he won't make a mistake. He might get outrun, but he won't make a mistake on the racetrack. Terry Labonte is a very talented race car driver.
Richard Lassiter there on the right. He got involved in that skirmish down at turn 1. Watch from Tom Peck's car. The new sponsor for Lassiter, a body alarm, and that's his key alert on the side. They said Tanya Harding was carrying one when she got attacked in Oregon, and in that attack, and it scared off her attackers. They said orders went skyrocketing for that car.
You look in the mirror and see the nose on that one, it'd scare you too. He don't have anything to lose anymore.
All right, now I'm kidding. Okay, first off, I'm kidding, but I wonder if Richard gave one to every driver in the field so they could get warned off when he was coming.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Oh. Folks.
I wonder if Tanya would want to drive a stock car.
That was from the pro here, too. Well, he's running pretty well. He's on the outside of Peck there, and you see David Green trying to make his way back up through there.
Richard qualified well, qualified 19th. He's had a pretty good run here.
David got caught up in that accident a while ago, and he's moving his way back towards the front again.
David Green, the Slim Jim Chevy 44, and here comes Jim Bound.
Well, Jim Bound, that was right, that's a little move down that back straightaway there, passing on the outside, going in the corner there. That's impressive.
Here we pass Mike Garvey.
That cam's getting a little jolt there.
Yeah, there you see the face cam up in the upper right. That's the rearview mirror. As David Green completes the pass of Tom Peck. There's the view from the face cam.
Well, that's a good shot right there.
94 laps complete.
Here comes Chad Little, 5 laps down, but never giving up.
5 laps.
You know,
this ball was a lot here.
Yeah, that's a severe penalty, but you know they have to kind of keep this thing under control too. If you just let people just start knocking and bamming, I'm sure he didn't mean to do it. Like I said, he's trying to get ahead of Terry Labonte and drove a little deeper in the corner, and maybe that was where Hermie Sadler was backing off of his car to get set up for the straightaway, and they come together. But you have to kind of police this thing.
Johnny Benson back in the race. He spent quite a while behind the wall, about 7 minutes, making repairs. He believed they'd lost the drive shaft yoke and replaced that with the Staff America number 74.
See Shauna Robinson going by Peck there on the inside.
And here's Kenny Wallace, who's taken over 2nd place from 24th at the start. He is now up to 2nd position.
and only has one dented door to show for it.
I think he went to bed one night and said, I want to be the best race car driver out here, because I tell you, he's the most improved driver I've seen on this circuit this year. And I think going to the Winston Cup last year and moving back to the Busch Grand National was a good move on his part. Now, next time he comes up, he'll be a winner.
Yeah, I think that year did him a lot of good. It was a tough year for him. They're running for Felix Savati's team, but like back here, he's determined to prove he belongs in the show, and the way to do that is get that car up to the front and keep it there, and that's what his car owner, Felix Savat, or rather Phil Martossi, that's what he wants. And Tom Peck is slowing.
Our
coast
camera
around
car
the pits. Hand in the air. He's just barely going to make it. So at the 100 lap mark, Mike Wallace, Johnny Benson spent a lot of time behind the wall. Tom Peck in trouble here. Dennis Setzer's car smoking heavily. George Crenshaw out of the race. And Hermie Sadler was leading when he was tagged from behind and knocked out of the race. They're still working on the front end of Sadler's car back behind the pit wall.
Kenny Wallace is closing in on the lead car, too. You see Hermie there. He don't look like the happiest camper around.
Well, he had a good chance to win it. And now we'll be lucky to salvage some points. Here is your leader, Terry Labonte. The Iceman, they call him.
For good reason. You never see this guy panic. I mean, no matter what happens, he's one of those guys that says, okay, if we couldn't get him today, we'll get him next week. But he really don't get himself in a lot of places where he's got to compromise his abilities, you know?
Rarely see him get that car out of shape. And here's the problem with Tom Peck's car beneath the rear end.
Looks like he might have a gear problem or something.
Another good battle has been Tommy Ellis in 05, Randy LaJoie in the 20, and the black flag number 43 of Rodney Combs. Now, LaJoie just passed Combs a lap or so ago. That car of Rodney Combs was just completed at 5 a.m. Saturday morning, and it's a beautiful piece of work. They rolled it off the truck, and the car has run really well.
We just heard about Tom Peck's car. It's either the transmission or rear end that went out of the car. Anyhow, it won't pull itself anymore.
Tracy Leslie is a part of that battle. He too is on the lead lap. Sorry, neglected to mention the Detroit gasket car there, but all four of these cars are fighting for 5th place.
Well, I tell you one thing, Tommy Ellis won't give it up. You'll have to take it. That's one of the hardest drivers on the whole circuit. Good to see him back in here.
Ellis, a former winner here, former winner of the national championship in this division in 05. The other driver change this week, we haven't seen much of the car, but Tommy Houston has a 1-race ride in the Rodney Rexroad Luxair Ford. Mike Stefanik, another national modified champ, released from that ride. And
you know, Mike, I'd like to see Stefanik get another shot in a good race car, because I'm going to tell you the honest truth. The one car is a good race car, but Stefanik has a tremendous amount of talent. And I just hate to see anybody replaced in 3 races and say, okay, we'll see you later, because I'm sure that they had a reason for it. But nevertheless, I hate to see a guy not really get a fair shake, because it's hard to get here and hard to stay.
He's a far better driver than the opportunity he was given. Glenn?
He will be back. I asked Tommy Houston about that earlier this morning. Mike has his own car to come down here and run some, and it is just about ready. So he will be back in a few weeks in his own equipment.
Good to hear. And the word is that the one team, Glenn, will name a driver tomorrow who will have the full-time ride in that car.
See Rodney Combs going by Randy LaJoie there.
Yep. It's a moving race car, and what a beautiful piece of work it is. 110 laps complete here. There you see the center section for Tom Peck's car. They're going to try to replace that and get him back out here. And we'll be right back with 110 laps complete.
Transportation provided by Cedar Ridge RV Center, Branchville, New Jersey. Call 1-800-988-4884 and find out why Cedar Ridge is the choice of champions.
114 laps complete. Terry Labonte, the leader. Puts a lap on Stevie Reeves, the midget champion, in the Clabber Girl car. That's baking powder for those of you that where that's not sold. It's a long-time brand.
Owned by the Holman family that started the Indianapolis racing out.
Terre Haute, Indiana, they're based.
You see David Green there trying to get by Randy LaJoie on the outside. I tell you, he's been very, very methodical about it, but he's moving right up through the field.
David Green just going past Robert Presley. Glenn?
Well, Mike, this is the hat. These guys are confident down here at Terry Labonte's pit. See that hat? He's already got it hung on his belt. That's the one they're going to put on Terry Labonte in victory lane. That's Ron Gage does PR work for them. These guys really think they're going to win this race. They're ready.
You know, I was always superstitious of that. I've sat in those race cars many a time thinking who I was going to think and all that. In victory circle, 4 or 5 laps to go, the engine brake or something. I don't believe I'd hang that hat just yet, folks.
There's some drivers carry them in the car.
Look at the left side of David Green's car there. Looks like it's been through a war, and it has, but it's running just as well as it did before the wreck. It seems like he's doing quite well now.
Just moved past Randy LaJoie. That was for position. 6th place. Or make that 7th place. 6th would be Tommy Ellis and the 05 car. Okay, make it 8th place because Tracy. I keep trying to leave Tracy Leslie out of there, and I don't know why. Labonte is the leader. There's Mike McLaughlin.
You call him Magic Shoes. Why is that?
Back in the modifieds and super modified days, they tagged him with that. He had a special pair of shoes he wore, and some folks thought they were magic because he got to victory lane a lot. He's going to run some Winston Cup races this year. The Coors folks are going to back him. This Team 34 will put a car under him at Michigan, Pocono, and Watkins Glen.
He's going to need magic shoes. They keep smoking like that. It won't be long before they black flag him, I'm afraid.
Back up front with Labonte. Bobby Dotter right behind. 2.7-second lead for Terry Labonte. A look at Bobby Dotter, who had some trouble, spent a bit of time in the pits.
I tell you, points are so important to these guys, though. If they can fix them, they don't care how many laps. One position might make a whale of a difference in the end of the year as to the point championship and all.
That's true. There's Tommy Houston in the #1, the Luxier Ford. Again, he has that ride only for today, getting passed by Kenny Wallace in the TIC Financial Ford.
Now, most of the racetracks you go to, you see the slower car go to the inside and motion the fast car on the outside. But you notice there in the corner, he moved over and let him have the preferred line, which is around the bottom of the racetrack. That's real important to work with these guys. They'll remember that someday when you're running good, too.
You bet. Here's a Napa Field standing update. Napa, no unimportant parts. Show you where your favorite driver's running. As Stevie Reeves in the Clabber Girl Oldsmobile.
Good choice.
Gets underneath.
No 3 abreast, please.
No. And there's the Ham Restaurant Chevy. The 02 of Michael Rich. Look a little further back here. Larry Pearson, 1 lap down in the Mac Martin Stanley Tools car. And here's a battle. Doug Hevron on the inside of Ricky Craven now. This is for 3rd place. 3rd, 4th, and 5th place right here. Rodney Combs moving in the black flag #43.
Yeah, he seems to be working quite well. I've noticed since the caution that Rodney Combs has been on a steady run towards the front.
The DuPont Chevy of Craven #2 will surrender not only 3rd but 4th place. So Hevron moves up to 3rd. He said this morning he's had a lot of laps here in the modified, the '75 car. He said it sure is good to come somewhere where you really know the racetrack, you really know how to get around here. And
well, we'll see if this works. Yeah.
Oh, Combs gets by and gets up there, and Hevron comes right back at him.
Boy, the back end on that car almost come around then. That's what happens when you overdrive on a half-mile racetrack.
And that was Hevron's one concern. He says, I just don't want to overdrive the car today. I want to keep it under me. And he's doing a good job of that in the Charlie Henderson Food Country 75. Let's show that one again.
Well, he has the spot there. He just keeps driving her in there. Watch the back end on this car. See the front wheels turn out into the skid there? All he had to do was just hold his line on the bottom, drive right back by Combs. Doug Havilland's run enough short tracks. He knew if he run in that hard, he would be able to pass him back coming off the corner.
And David Green moves up on Rodney Combs. And that's for 4th place, the black flag Pontiac.
Mike, the other thing that does, you use up a lot of tire when you turn them sideways like that. You notice he's dropping back here. Of course, David Green's flying right now. He's coming up through here. He'll be back up front in just a short time. But I think Rodney Combs has used up his tires for a moment.
Combs' best finish in this series, 8th at Milwaukee last year. He's on track to eclipse that today, but David Green's going to move on past. 4th place at stake here.
Boy, that 44 is awesome getting in the corner. He goes in a 2-car length deeper than anybody here.
So Green decides that one for fourth place. Moves Combs to 5th as they work around the 35 of Randy Porter, the Mike Laughlin car.
Now, if Rodney Combs can stay with the 44 car and let him make the other cars make mistakes and go up high, he can follow him all the way to the lead. But I think David Green has definitely turned the wick up, as you say.
Up to 4th place, headed back toward the front. Rodney Combs there now in 5th place. Steady run. Then we're going to pick up Randy Porter in the Mike Laughlin car, and then Mike McLaughlin, the Fiddle Faddle Chevy, who is 33 laps down after some time behind the wall, but back up to speed. The number 2 is Ricky Craven. He's the 6th place car. The DuPont number 2 Chevrolet, Craven's own car this year.
That's Jim Bound on the outside going by there.
Now that's the locally owned Hensley car. Hubert and Jeff Hensley own the 63. Lysol, the sponsor on that car today.
I don't even have a pun to say on that. Lysol, come on, you're the pro. Give us something.
Can't think of one. Then the 74 of Johnny Benson. He spent 5.5 minutes, or rather 15 minutes and 50 seconds behind the pit wall. The Staff America Chevy is 42 laps down. Randy LaJoie, number 20, is on the lead lap in the Finaloo Chevrolet, number 20.
You're talking about Randy LaJoie. When he stopped, he made a chassis adjustment, and I think he went the wrong way because he's dropping back right now, and he's not able to keep up the speed with the lead cars.
He is on the lead lap. Tracy Leslie has just gone by him, the Detroit Gasket Chevy. And Leslie's going after Ricky Craven. This is for 6th place. Yeah, looks like Tracy may take it if Jim Bound stays up there on the high side.
There's Randy going up under the Craven car. He's sticking pretty good. I don't know where he's losing his time, but he's not able to run with the Terry Labonte car as far as lap times are right now.
Right this minute, the only car that is Kenny Wallace. At the tail end of that pack is Chad Little, the Bayer Select Ford, number 23, and Little spent some time in the NASCAR penalty box, 5 laps. Now Labonte is the leader, but Kenny Wallace is closing in. Work continues behind the wall on Tom Peck's car, replacing the rear end center section, and we'll be right back to Martinsville. Coming up on halfway here at Martinsville, Virginia. Welcome back to our TNN live coverage of Busch Series racing. Mike Joy with Buddy Baker and Glenn Jarrett today, as Terry Labonte takes over where Hermie Sadler left off. He has not surrendered the lead since he took it over, and Sadler was hit from behind by Chad Little, trying to get himself straightened out after diving into the corner on the restart. But Labonte may not be leading for long. Kenny Wallace has been closing in. Moving up on the Taco Bell 00 of Johnny Rumley.
Whoa, a little loose there.
Glenn, a couple of cars running real well, and one of those is trouble. Turn 2. Tommy Ellis went around. He and Mike Garvey appear to have been involved in that one. And it'll be the 5th caution of the day. Well, this changes everything.
I don't see a mark on the car, so I don't think he looks like he might have stoved the nose in just a little bit. There's a black mark on the spoiler on the front. Okay.
Well, let's see.
Well, that's a little bit after it happened there. It looked like he's right by himself. That can happen a lot of times when you hit that curb. That thing will jump right out sideways on you.
A body coming down into the corner.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
They just, you can see he went in the corner a little bit hard and the back end just come right around. He was not touched by anybody.
So Tommy Ellis spins. And that brings out the caution. Here's Labonte coming in and Kenny Wallace, who was catching Labonte. And the car who may have been the fastest on the racetrack prior to the caution, David Green, is coming in right in front of Glenn.
Well, Mike, we're expecting a 4-tire change. The rule for the day is they get 1 tire per position. That means they can change 1 tire in the caution per position. So we will see a 4-tire change. I expect that for everybody. You know, this caution came at an ideal time. This is lap 150. We're halfway in the race. They get to run half the tires on half the race on worn tires, half the race on the new set of tires. So works out real well for them. David Green was running consistently 0.25 to 0.3 of a second a lap quicker than the leader, Terry Labonte. So we'll see if these new tires can put him up front.
24-second stop for Labonte, 31-second stop for Kenny Wallace. Here's David Green coming out. Cars on the lead lap only allowed to stop on that first lap of caution, and now the rest of the field is eligible to come in.
The recipient of this was Randy LaJoie. He's come all the way up to 2nd place on that pit stop. He must have just took on 2 tires. We'll have Glenn check that a little while later.
Don't believe he stopped, but he's coming in this time, as is Ricky Craven.
Huh.
A little bit surprising that they would not have stopped with the other cars on the lead lap. So that gain of his is momentary.
Okay, what he did, I think he come in, he just changed right sides, and now he's getting left sides. He
Okay.
must have had a problem with one of the tires or something.
Glenn?
Well, you're right, buddy. Ricky Craven did come in and only change right side tires. He got left sides at that time. I don't know if they didn't feel like they could get them all 4 changed or what, but he beat David Green out very, very badly, but only because he only changed 2 tires. But that puts him back in the running order where he probably would have been had he changed all 4 anyway.
Glenn, I think you're right. They were so far back in the line, single file coming around for caution, that there's a legitimate concern whether or not you could change 4 before that pace car came around again. So that's the strategy. As Labonte leads this one under caution, we are just past halfway. 152 laps completed. And we'll be right back to Martinsville, Virginia. We're back in Martinsville, Virginia, and as you can see, Tom Peck in the Channel Lock Chevy carrying our in-car cameras back in the race. Tune in tonight when TNN brings you Race Day with the update on everything that happened this weekend in motorsports. Same time every week, 8:30 p.m. Sunday nights here on TNN. Work continues on the Hermie Sadler car as you look over the shoulder of the 2nd-year driver. Sophomore Jinx, perhaps, leading this race handily and got tagged on a restart. And the ensuing damage from cars piling in.
The bad part is the car's torn up, but the best part is they know they had the best car here, and that's momentum. That always carries you to the next race feeling we got the best car and we can win.
Unfortunately, it'll carry him down from 3rd place in the points somewhere southward today. But next week's another race.
You know, this time of the year, though, the points, Ernie Irvin said the other day, he wasn't racing for points yet. Right now, he wanted to win races, and I think that's what all the race teams want to do is win races right now. The points will come with the win.
Absolutely. Well, you're not racing for points yet, but maybe I think you're racing for them. You're just not counting them yet. Mike Garvey completes a pit stop. A little bit of cleanup. Somebody apparently lost a fan belt out on the track near turn 1. Tom Peck was in the pits for 19 minutes. He is 54 laps down.
Looks like you're looking at a rope swinging down the straightaway there. Everybody cleaning those tires, but that's so important. I can't tell you what it drives like when you get all that buildup of rubber and stuff on the tire and start in the corner.
Look at this list of cars that did not qualify. Some very good race cars went home here. And some other good race cars did not even enter. As you look down this list of drivers who missed making the field, only one round of qualifying, which makes it tough. Joe Bessie is not here. That team, they said Atlanta would be their last race for a while if they didn't receive sponsorship and couldn't put anything together. That's a very much a front-running car. Kirk Shelmerdine, Levin Racing, saying they're taking a few weeks off. They're out of engines. Now, another car that was here wasn't on that list. Dirk Stevens, the top driver from the West Coast, had such a good run at Richmond. They have 2 brand new motors coming to the shop Monday. They lost their last one yesterday here in practice. A little.
Yeah, well, this is kind of. No, that's my spot. No, I think it's mine. Up, a little push, shove.
And a little line me up.
Fidois won that little deal, by the way.
Well, he's trying to get back on the lead lap. Tim Fido is 1 lap down in 9th place in the 55 car. And he's going to get back on the lead lap, at least for the moment.
That's what always makes Terry Labonte such a good race car driver. He's just going to take his time, so he got ahead of him. Now he'll let the car do his job, and then he'll try to move up there. He's not worried about Fidois.
A lot of bumping and shuffling back in the pack as at least one car didn't come up to speed. And Kenny Wallace goes for and takes the lead.
Now, I know he didn't plan on that.
Wallace is the 3rd driver to lead this race today. Taking over lap 158. You said Labonte's car didn't seem to work well on that last restart the first couple of laps.
Oh, he's right back in the action now. It just seems that it comes up to speed quite slowly, but then it's a good race car after that. David Green's the one I feel like it's got the ace in the hole right at the moment there.
Tim Fidois just came to pit road, and I believe that Fidois got a stop-and-go penalty. That is correct. Stop-and-go penalty. Apparently, he was ahead of the leader coming down on the restart. Here's LaJoie and Hevron battling now.
That was over quick enough.
Tough break for Tim Fido.
Boy, that feels good when you get 4 new tires under there. Boy, that makes a bad chassis feel great for a few laps. And I think Randy LaJoie's made some more changes. I think his car is as fast as anything here. He's just got to dial her in and make it work.
Well, he's up to 5th place. Right behind him, Doug Hevron, having his best run in Busch Racing, is 6th. Hevron was kidding today. He says he's always picked the wrong year to move up. When he moved up to Winston Cup, there were a whole bunch of top drivers there running for Rookie of the Year. When he went to Indianapolis, Al Unser Jr. was a rookie, a number of top drivers there. He says he's always picked the wrong year.
You see Terry Labonte's run back. He's closing the door in on Kenny Wallace right now. But catching a car here is one thing. Passing them's another.
Yep. Hevron did say, he says he thinks he picked the right year for the Busch Series. A lot of tough cars, a lot of tough competition, but he's going to do well. Good battle for the lead.
Now what you try to do, Mike, if you're in that second car, is move around enough to keep him looking in that mirror, seeing if you're coming up under him or whether you're going to the outside or not, and try to get his concentration on. We got a yellow flag, Lassiter on the back straightaway.
Uh-oh, the alarm went off against the wall in turn 2 there. And we're under the 6th. Should we bring back Darrell? We're under the 6th caution of the day. 164 laps. Richard Lassiter getting up into the corner, or into the concrete there at turn number 2. We asked Kenny Wallace, who now leads this race, about the early days of him going to racing, who he pulled for and what he thought about it.
I think when I really wanted to drive a race car was when I watched the Joey Chitwood thrill show. I think there was a lot of young kids that, you know, drove the car on 2 wheels and they rode motorcycles. They done that at Tri-City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois. That's when I first said to myself, sitting in the grandstands as a kid, I wanted to be a race car driver.
Welcome back to Martinsville. 168 laps have been complete. Still a little cleanup going on out on the speedway. As see the run back through 5th position there. And there aren't near as many as there were a while ago. A couple of cars have torn the gear out. Some have lost engines. This has always been one of the toughest tracks on attrition.
Well, I was just fixing to say, Mike, it's something going on all the time. Ricky Craven's fighting a battle now. Glenn can bring us up to speed on that.
Well, buddy, this is John Monson. He's Ricky Craven's crew chief, and if nothing else, they're going to get the award for the hardest working crew today. He's been in no less than 7 times in the last couple of caution periods. John, what's the problem?
Well, we are probably the hardest working crew here. These guys have done a great job. The problem is that we got banged by a lap car and it knocked the toe in out, and we've had to fix it. It's taken 2 or 3 times in to fix it. Overall, I think we're in pretty good shape now. We're last on the lead lap. We got fresh tires, and I think we can go the rest of the way without a problem. We had a real good car ever since we've got here, and we just want to put the DuPont Chevrolet up front.
Well, I'm going to let this guy catch his breath. He needs a rest.
Okay, Glenn. Like Clyde McLeod, John's another transfer from the NASCAR modified division into Busch Racing. Tom Peck trying to keep the tires clear here as he, like us, waits for green. Getting ready for the restart here at Martinsville from, well, we call it Elmo Cam, even though Elmo's not driving the pace car. Marlon Wright behind the wheel of the Pontiac safety car in the Busch Series. Kenny Wallace leads this race. He's the 3rd leader of the day over Terry Labonte, David Green, Rodney Combs, Randy LaJoie in 5th. Doug Hevron and Ricky Craven are the 7 cars on the lead lap. As we're back to green. Stevie Reeves on the outside trying to get a lap back. Not going to happen.
Ooh, the 8 car got sideways. Kenny Wallace got completely sideways there.
And here comes Terry Labonte. Texas Terry underneath Kenny Wallace thinks a little better of it as he squares off coming out of 4.
See Chad Little there. He's 5 laps down, but he's going to race every lap. Whoop.
Boy, he isn't turning that car. He is kicking it. That thing looked like an outlaw sprinter when it cut there at turn 2. That car of Kenny Wallace.
David Green has to have made more passes today than anybody on the racetrack trying to get back up to the front. It seems like his pit stops have got him back out behind a bunch of cars every time he makes a stop.
Moving up behind Michael Rich, who is 1 lap down, but in the top 10. That 0-2 car, good run for him today.
Well, those are 2 evenly matched cars. I believe Terry's car is handling just a little bit better on the bottom of the racetrack, though.
Oh, trouble in 4. 4 cars crash, and Shauna Robinson takes a hard shot into the outside wall. It was George Crenshaw, Shauna Robinson, Tommy Ellis, as far as we could see. And way back up the racetrack, Johnny Rumley was involved. And did Hermie Sadler, just back on the racetrack, did he get a piece of that too? Ricky Craven got the right rear knocked off of his car. Here's Shauna Robinson's, the Ed Ferree Polaroid Chevy.
She seems to be okay. I see her moving around in there. She's checking the steering to see if it'll still move. You see her kick the clutch there. I don't think that one's going anywhere, though. The right front's back in the glove box.
Well, let's see what happened there. This was well back in the pack. There's George Crenshaw. The Campbell soup can is dented. Top of your screen. Oh.
Rumley got around backwards. Oh, man. Our car shot up the racetrack here.
Craven was in it. Ellis. Doug Hevron just missed the wall.
Okay, you see, Rumley just got sideways, and these chain reaction things. She went up over the back of Craven's car there and went straight into the wall. Boy, oh boy, she went. Shauna Robinson got right up on top of Craven's car, and it shot her straight in the wall.
Here's what Carl Simmons, the flagman, saw.
See it up there?
Wow.
Boom. That's
a hard hit from Tom Peck's car. Let's show you what he saw.
What's the old saying? It ain't over till it's over?
No.
Oh, me.
Shauna Robinson is okay, gives the fans a wave. Took a very hard shot into the wall. She was having a good run today. She was in 15th position.
You see her holding her ribs there. She'll have to check them things. I tell you the honest truth, I don't like those in-car cameras anymore. I'm still hurting on my right side. I know what she's going through. When you get those ribs hit, I'm going to tell you, that's a little painful deal.
Took a hard shot into the wall after a tough day last week. Bittersweet weekend. Sat on the pole. Sports Illustrated was there to do a full-page spread on her, and getting involved in that incident on the first lap at Atlanta, and here running in the top 15, running well, and John Suggs there where they're getting involved and really going hard into the turn 4 wall.
Well, I tell you what, I know it's a short track and you see where they run 70, 80 miles an hour, but that was a full 80 mile an hour contact into a concrete wall, and I tell you, it hurts.
Glenn is with Shauna. Glenn?
Well, first of all, Shauna, you seem to be holding your ribs. Are you okay?
Oh, it hit pretty hard. I think I'm all right. I probably just bruised them a little bit. It hit a ton for being on such a short track, and you know, you don't really feel like you're going too fast, but when they hit hard.
Well, we saw that on the replay. From your angle, what happened?
Really, Glenn, I don't really know. I mean, I don't think I caused anything. I couldn't really tell. It's hard to tell when there's so many cars. All I know is my spotter said, you know, let the 2-car go and get with him, and that's what I was doing basically. And I was on the outside, so evidently a car came up, pushed me into the wall, but I really don't have a clear thought for it right now.
She wants to go get checked out. We're going to let her do that.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, she was trying to get around this car, Ricky Craven, and you can see the damage on the right rear of Craven's car where she was trying to avoid the incident and got launched up into the turn 4 wall. She's a talented race driver. It's just having a couple of tough weeks in a row. Ricky Craven on pit road, and we asked Ricky Craven, when did he decide to be a race car driver?
I'm not sure I made up my mind. At a really early age, and you know, it was part of my environment. My dad raced, and a lot of people, you know, hard for some people to believe, but there are a lot of tradition in Maine, racing tradition, and I knew at an early age I wanted to race.
Coverage of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 on TNN is brought to you by Napa. We keep America running.
They've just dropped the green flag for the restart. Chad Little trying to get back one of his 5 laps from the leader, Kenny Wallace. At TIC Financial on the side of Wallace's car, they manage fuel purchases and such for truckers, trucking companies.
See Jim Bound going there. He's trying to get back on the lead lap here.
The Lysol car is also 1 lap down, and look at how loose Kenny Wallace is running that race car.
Terry Labonte's trying to get under him there. I believe he'll make the pass now.
Just waiting to watch Wallace's rear end twitch there, and when it did, Labonte made his move. Very heads up, very opportunistic race car driver. And Tracy Leslie, who was 1 lap down, is also trying to get back on the lead lap. And there's David Green.
Oh, we have a spin on.
Michael Rich spins it in turn 4, but keeps going.
No caution. He got the black flag, though.
Well, that wasn't for the spin. That was for he was passing on the left, trying to get in the restart lineup, and kind of muscled his way in there. So he will get a consultation because of it. Now, Ricky Craven had to start at the end of the longest line because he pitted too early. He is the last car on the lead lap. A lot of tape holding that one together. Glenn?
Well, Mike, more problems for Ricky Craven. You're looking at the tire, the right rear tire that came off his car. When Shauna ran over it, you see the big cut in it. Well, he had already changed his 4 tires under caution, but NASCAR did allow him a free change of this tire, but no other. So he's got 1 new rear tire on there. They wanted to change all 4, and NASCAR wouldn't let him. It has upset the handle even further, and the toe-in is knocked out again.
They say no tire is as good as a new tire, but I tell you, when you do it and the air pressure's already built up in the other 3 tires, when you put a tire that's cold on there like that, it can really change the handling of the car.
So Craven will have to fight his way from the back of the pack, and Michael Rich, who was in 8th place 1 lap down, now is still a lap down after that stop and go penalty, but he's at the tail end of being 1 lap down. Here's Jim Bound on the outside of Terry Labonte.
Well, Terry's making a move on him right now. He'll go by pretty easily. Terry Labonte is one of the few cars right now that can run right on the yellow line through the corner.
Jim Bound in the Lysol number 63. He's just 1 lap down. He's now the 7th place car. Tracy Leslie in 72 is 8th in that same pack.
See if Kenny Wallace can stay down. His car seems to be washing out in the center of the corner. See how far out it comes there? It's hard for him to get a good run at the back straightaway like that.
A lot of smoke from Jason Keller, number 57, and he will take it to the backstretch pits.
Wow. Jim Bound going certainly deep enough in the corner. He drove right up beside of Terry Labonte, but he just don't seem to have the angle off the corner to really make that move.
Jim's older brother Chuck drove this car last year. Now he drives in Winston Cup for Bobby Allison, and no busman's holiday for Chuck. He had an 8:30 a.m. tee time this morning.
Too bad, huh?
Yeah.
The only thing that would have been worse if he took Debbie Bound, his wife, with him. We hadn't had her to work with us up here.
Wouldn't have had a chief spotter. We're at 191 laps. 59 to go here at Martinsville Speedway. No, that's not right. 109 laps to go.
There you go.
I'm still running twin 250s here. And we'll mention that Hermie Sadler is back on the racetrack. After a 49-minute pit stop, he is 102 laps down, but still trying to pile up Busch Series points, third in points today.
You know, we need to give a call to Rodney Combs. He has worked his way up in the 4th spot, and really that car seems to be running as well as the lead cars. He just had bad track position up till now, but he's really getting through the racetrack pretty well.
Here's David Green in 44. Now he is the 3rd place car. Now here is Rodney Combs in 4th place and moving up.
It just seems like that 43 runs good at Martinsville no matter what it's on.
That number does, and that number, of course, is not on there by coincidence. RLP Racing owns this team. That's Richard Petty and Rodney Combs. Brand new race car just finished up in the wee hours of Saturday morning in time to come down here.
You know, we looked at that car before the race, and it was one of the best prepared cars that I've ever seen for this racetrack. Everything on it was kind of a trick, you know, just a little special. It was a nice race car.
And doing extremely well. One thing NASCAR has done here at Martinsville and at some of the shorter tracks in response to queries by the owners of both Busch and Winston Cup cars, they did expand the field for this race. 30 cars were scheduled to qualify through time trials. They did take 32. NASCAR had asked for 34 positions, but the pit road length here at Martinsville could not accommodate 34 cars. And that will be changed for April. Also, the Winston Cup races at Bristol, North Wilkesboro, and here at Martinsville have been expanded to 34 positions, qualifying on time plus provisional. So less of those good cars will be going home.
I think that's very important because a lot of people have a good qualifying package, and not, you know, they don't race quite as well as they qualify, and I'm glad to see them expand the field and give everybody a shot at it.
Let's show you the cars that are on the lead lap. We have Terry Labonte up front. Here is Kenny Wallace. There's a look at Labonte as he works around Dennis Setzer, number 8. Kenny Wallace is 2nd. 44. David Green is your 3rd place car as we show you the interval back through the field. In 4th place, there's the 43 of Rodney Combs in 4th, and the number 25th is Randy LaJoie. And further back, about a half a straightaway back, or more than half a straightaway back, you'd find Ricky Craven and the 75 of Doug Hevron. 100 laps to go, 2/3 distance here at Martinsville. You know, not only is Hermie Sadler back on the track, he is passing people.
Oh boy, did you see Terry Labonte's hands in the corner there? Barely moving them. I tell you, that car is hooked up, and when you're like that here, and a smoother driver as he is, he picks the throttle up real easy. One thing you can't do at Martinsville, just slam the accelerator back down. You'll break the rear wheels loose and heat the tires. So a good smooth driver is very important here. Up, we have a spin there.
Yep, Jim Bound, as Richard Lassiter and Kenny Wallace got together. Jim Bound was on the outside. And like a croquet deal, when you send somebody, you have the mallet and then the ball and then the other ball.
Yeah, well, that was casual contact there.
We're under caution. 8th one of the day comes out at lap 202 involving Jim Bound. We'll be right back. Riding with Tom Peck with 96 laps to go. Ricky Craven's made numerous pit stops after this incident, trying to get his car squared away. Here's what happened. Now you're seeing them out of turn number 2. Richard Lassiter about to be overlapped. Watch the black car, Kenny Wallace.
See Jim Bound on the outside there. Right there, they make contact going in the corner, and that's the lightest point on the racetrack for the rear end of the car. And when you touch them, boy, it's over with. I don't think anybody really meant for that to happen. They just barely touched, and right at that position, you're on the brakes, the nose is down, and the back end's kind of like a kite without a tail on it.
Jim Bound is still 1 lap down, but he'll drop from 7th, or 8th rather, to 14th position. There's a look at his car. Gets back out without losing a lap as we're about to go back to green. Only 3 leaders today. Hermie Sadler, Terry Labonte, Kenny Wallace. 4 lead changes.
You know, I wish we could get down there and show them what big tape was. We had a roll of gray tape they were using on the Craven car, and this guy come over there a while ago with about a foot wide gray tape to fix the quarter panel. That was called big tape.
And that guy was Big Rodney.
Big Rodney.
3 wide into turn 1. That's not going to work. No, sir. I can't believe it. Everybody got through there. I don't think they can all believe it. Is that what happens when you hit somebody and knock them straight again?
Yeah, that's when you say, great job of handling there.
Yeah, right. Well, let's see that again.
Okay, you see Little on the outside there. They make contact there. Tracy Leslie runs in the back of the 8 car. The 8 car comes up, hits Chad Little. That's kind of like John Wayne when he walks in a saloon and there's about 3 or 4 people in his way when he's after somebody. He just kind of got them all there.
I'm not sure that Tracy even hit Kenny, or did Kenny go in there and get loose like he had on the previous restarts? I don't know. In any case, everybody straightened out.
Great camera work. With up, left front's rubbing.
Chad Little.
That won't fix itself. It'll only get worse. Unless he can wear that sidewall down just a little bit and then not rub anymore. No, it's still rubbing when he turns it left to get in the corner.
Trouble in turn 4. Richard Lassiter spins. Can he get it going? No. Caution flag.
That's a bad place to be sitting there. I hope everybody can see him.
Tracy Leslie trying to race Labonte back to the line. Can't do it. Can't get back on the lead lap.
You know, several years back, Mike, that would have been a big pileup. But everybody's got spotters now. When a car spins like that, the spotters come out and say, okay, guys, there's a wreck coming off 4. Everybody slow down. He's in the middle of the racetrack, low or high.
Tough break for Lassiter. And let me say, he is a much improved race driver over these last couple of years. He has learned a lot, qualified in the top 20 here. Got himself caught up in an incident or 2. Tough break. We'll be right back. Getting set to go back to racing here at Martinsville, but later this evening on TNN, inside Winston Cup Racing, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All the inside news of the sport of Winston Cup stock car racing, only here on TNN. Getting ready for the restart with 87 laps to go. 6 cars on the lead lap. We're now showing Ricky Craven 1 lap down after that last spate of green flag racing.
See Tracy Leslie on the outside there getting a jump. He's trying to get back in the lead lap. I mean, he got a jump.
That was a big jump. Up the outside comes Tim Fedor. He and Leslie and Larry Pearson are racing for 7th position. 1 lap down. Crash in the backstretch. Tommy Houston got around but got going again. Spun it down to the inside and got going. He's okay. Leslie now on the tail end of the lead lap, as is Fedor.
Yeah, Terry didn't start back off very well here. I don't know whether he's having a problem or not. I don't think so, but you see Kenny Wallace moving in also there.
Well, Labonte has not been getting great restarts. But once that car comes up to speed and the tires come up to temperature, it's as good as anything here. There's Larry Pearson.
See, Larry just turned left there.
Yep.
I mean, he was really getting a bite off that corner. Left front of Pearson's car there's been in a battle with somebody. You can see his roll back all the way down the hood there.
Pearson's the 9th place car. Now they're working the passing flag on him because Kenny Wallace is on the lead lap. So he gives Wallace the outside. And Kenny moves on past.
Well, I like to see that. I tell you, I like to see the leaders get to fight it out to see who wins and not have a lap car cause what happens in a race, you know?
Big explosion. Tracy Leslie. Everybody trying to get by. Fedor gets by.
Boy, Terry Labonte almost got in the left side there.
It's got to be cool to do that. Will we get a caution? Well, apparently not a lot of debris down in turn 1. We're going to stay green.
We'll see.
Right now. Little smoke out of Dennis Setzer's car. shuffle it up. Setzer drops to the inside. Mike, 35 car. Randy Porter coming back in the race. Good battle between Randy LaJoie and the 43 right here, Rodney Combs. LaJoie had tried to take a few bugs out of the left rear quarter panel of the black flag car.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, it's getting late. It's getting late in the day, okay? Folks, you can groan along with Buddy. It's all right. We don't mind. But Combs is going to hang on to that spot for the moment. That's 4th place.
I'm glad to see Rodney get a real good shot like this, because I've always felt that he was an underestimated driver, and I'm glad to see him in a good race car with a chance to move up.
I agree. All those cars on your screen are a lap down. Well, no, Hebron is not. He's on the lead lap. From Fido on back 1 lap down. 78 laps to go.
You see Randy LaJoie, I believe they've got that car working better now. He's moving in on Rodney Combs.
Yes.
He seems to be getting in the corner a little bit better than Rodney is.
Combs dives under the Taco Bell car. Now here's Tim Fido trying to hold off Labonte. Fido is on the tail end of the lead lap. Now, if he can stay there up until that next caution flag, he's in 7th place. That would really distance him from Larry Pearson and those other cars a lap down.
There's hello, welcome to Martinsville. Time
Beep.
to get out of the way, folks.
Beep, beep. Not much, just a little hi, I'm here. And oh, by the way, I am the race leader. Beep.
Yeah, that won't last long there.
Now, if this were a modified race, they'd all be sitting in the stands yelling, dump him, dump him. That's what they do.
Well, he's going to have to make a decision here pretty quick, because it looks like Terry's running out of patience.
Yep. And that doesn't often happen.
No.
Terry's got a rear view mirror filled up with Kenny Wallace, and Kenny's coming. Fido is running well, though. I mean, you can't take anything away from him. That car's running well.
Well, that's, you said a mouthful right there. He can't just roll over and play dead either. He's got to run as hard as he possibly can and try to, you know, keep himself in that lap.
Lap car coming up, Mike Garvey. Can Fido use it as a pick?
Is that what you call the pick? No.
Nope.
Terry used that spot up.
In the NBA, that would have been a foul, but not here. So Fido is 1 lap down again.
Now we have the first 3 cars where they ought to be, in front of the group there. Now they can fight it out between themselves.
So for Tim Fido, a valiant effort to try to stay on the lead lap, and he did everything he could. He could not hold off Terry Labonte. Tracy Leslie was running in that pack 1 lap down in 7th place until what happened, Glenn?
Well, Mike, you know he worked his tail off all day to get that lead lap back. Just as he did, it all went up in smoke. What happened, Tracy?
Well, I don't know. You know, something happened. Detroit Gasket, Lumina. We were running good. You know, we got tied up in that wreck and got a lap down, worked hard, got our way back. You know, I just feel sorry for all the guys who worked hard. Ron Parker, Detroit Gasket, DNGM Brake, all the rest of them. It's been a tough season. We've been able to stay in the top 10 in points. I don't know what this will do to us. We'll come back at Darlington, run again.
Well, he had a good, strong car today. Better luck next week.
24 of the 35 cars that started this race, 34 cars that started this race, still running. And here's the battle of Randy LaJoie up for 4th place against Rodney Combs. Oh, boy.
That was just he decided he had to get on the outside to get by Dennis Setzer, and I think he might have just, you see him wave, he knew he didn't mean to do it.
Is that what he was signaling?
Yeah, yeah. That was, never mind.
Well, folks, whatever it looked like at home to you, that's what it was. 59 laps. I think you're right. 2.6 seconds from 1st to 5th as this race is close. Look at 2nd place. Here's how close it is. David Green on the outside of Kenny Wallace.
Now that's a muscle move there. When you can pass in Martinsville on the outside, that says I got a little bit better car than you have. And you see him, he didn't really battle up.
I don't think I've seen anybody go around the outside of Kenny all day.
I know one thing, if I was in Terry Labonte's shoes, I'd been looking at that with a little bit of sweat now.
Well, and not only does David Green need to win a race, it's been a long time since he has, back at Lanier several years ago. But his car owner has that airplane to fix.
Yeah.
$71,000 worth.
Well, the good part is everybody walked out of that deal.
You bet. You bet. David Green running in second place here. Drives for the Labontes, but we asked David who inspired him to be a racer.
I think coming from Owensboro, Kentucky, you got to look at Darrell Michael Waltrip. You know, that was our inspiration to keep going and maybe get to Winston Cup one day.
Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway. TNN proud to bring you more Busch Series racing than all other networks combined in 1994. There is the separation. First to second place. David Green is fast closing in on Terry Labonte. A tough break for Rodney Combs. He made an unscheduled pit stop, may have cut down a tire on the Black Flag Pontiac, and is now one lap down back on the speedway. He's in 10th place. First to second.
That's what I was saying a while ago when they were talking about Terry Labonte's guy wearing that hat and headed already for Victory Circle. It don't take but one little thing on a racetrack to cut a tire down, and all that for naught that he's done today.
That's right. Rodney Combs was going to the front, had to make that unscheduled pit stop. That leaves us just 5 cars on the lead lap. David Green in second place behind Terry Labonte as Mike McLaughlin takes the Fiddle Faddle Chevy behind the wall and out of the race. Kenny Wallace in third. Randy LaJoie and Doug Hevron are on the lead lap. So there's Labonte, and David Green is closing right in. He's only about 3 car lengths back now. There's Kenny Wallace in third. Let's check with Glenn.
You're looking at Bob Labonte there, the crew chief on his son Terry's car, and my curiosity got the best of me. I asked him, I said, Bob, why is it that after every restart it takes Terry's car a few laps to get going? He looked at me and said, I don't know, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you the truth. He's got a great sense of humor, but he does say that Terry's car is running exceptionally well right now. They're going to try to hold off David Green. That's a pretty good dilemma. Both his sons on those cars, one driving. Bob used to be the crew chief on the 44 car.
Well, he better have a little concern about David Green, because David Green has run him down now, and they're within a couple of car lengths of each other. And you see Wallace has moved up. He's coming right along, too. We're going to have a big battle here for the lead before too long.
Stevie Reeves makes a pit stop in the Clabber Girl Oldsmobile.
No comment?
No puns.
And down the stretch they come.
56 laps to go as we master the obvious here at Martinsville. There's your lead battle. 1-2. Terry Labonte and David Green. Top of your picture is Kenny Wallace. 2 Chevrolets and a Ford. 55 laps left to go.
Now what you have to do if you're in that second place car, you've run Terry down, but he's got a little bit fresher tires because he hadn't leaned on them quite as much to catch up. So what you have to do is kind of pace yourself, and instead of trying to make up 10 car lengths every lap, you start making it up by inches now. So you've got a fresh set of tires on there as the guy you're racing with.
Used up his tires and probably used up a good bit of brake on that car too, or heated up a good bit of brakes.
Yeah. I tell you though, it looks to me like, you know, this car set on the pole of Green's, and it has an advantage, I think, in the corner. It seems to be a little bit stronger through the center part of the corner than Terry Labonte is.
I'll look back to the 4th place car, Randy LaJoie, and now we're back up front. Let's show you the separation back through those front 4. Here's Labonte and Green. They are tied together in 1st and 2nd place. Kenny Wallace is only about a dozen car lengths back, and at the end of that straightaway is Randy LaJoie, the 4th place car. One other car on the lead lap, that's Doug Hevron, and he is about half a lap behind LaJoie, which puts him about a quarter of a lap ahead of losing a lap to the leader.
You know, you can see David Green's car there. He's getting in the corner. He'll close right in on Terry Labonte getting in the corner, but Terry seems to have a bit more acceleration out of the corner, and that's because the car's stationed better in the corner. He's right on the bottom. He has a better run out from the center to the straightaway.
So where do you beat somebody here, going into the corner or coming out of the corner?
Listen, it's good to beat him anywhere if you can.
From Tom Peck, looking at leader Terry Labonte.
Terry's car accelerate up out of the corner there, right on by. Boy, when you get that run off the corner like that, it makes it look simple.
He and David Green. Drop in Green is not letting Labonte get an inch away as they move past the Ford Credit Ford of Elton Sawyer.
You see Green trying to go by on the outside there. I'm not sure that's going to work with Terry. Terry's accelerating quite well from the center out.
48 laps to go. And Mike McLaughlin back in the race.
That car's had how many laps do you figure? Well, that goes by hour now, don't it? How many hours has he spent in the pits?
Right. Ricky Craven just ahead. Craven is 1 lap down.
You can see Ricky Craven in there telling them go by on the outside. He gave him a hand signal. They all remember this because someday Ricky Craven might be beating them and they'll get out of the way for him too.
So Craven goes 2 laps down. He is in 11th place.
Our camera car is working well there. He's giving us some beautiful shots right behind David Green's car.
And up to speed after whatever driveline problems that Tom Peck had.
Now he's doing that for us, you know.
Now Labonte pulling up a little edge there. Now he has to duck underneath Randy Porter and comes up to Tommy Ellis in the 05.
That's unusual. We just got a call that Bobby Labonte's calling in lap speeds to Terry Labonte, and he owns a 44 car. Now that's a little strange to me, but
that's yeah. Blood is thicker than money,
I guess. Go, brother, go. But I hope the other car wins.
Well, David Green could use a win.
See, Lassiter's back out there. Whatever his problem was, they fixed it. He's back out on the racetrack.
Dennis Setzer, when that car started smoking at 50 laps into the race, I thought it wasn't long for this day, but he continues to race on.
I guarantee you he feels like it's a 10-hour race. You got to ride around and not race with anybody. Oh, it gets long.
Now, these 5 cars are on the lead lap. Labonte, Green, Wallace. These 5 cars are 1 lap down, 6 through 10. Craven is 11th. He is 2 laps behind. We'd like to take it further back in the field, but we do not have the benefit of the computer-aided scoring that NASCAR uses for Winston Cup racing and on the combination Busch Winston Cup weekends. So we're unable to do so. That's as far back in the field as we're able to go for you at the moment.
David Green's still trying to make that outside move count, but I don't believe he's going to be able to pull it off. As I say that, he'll probably drive right on by. But we'll see 2 different angles of what a guy thinks it's going to take to win the race. Terry's hanging right on the bottom. 44 car works in on the low side. Now he'll make a wider. Just I said he tried to go under.
There wasn't any room there. Labonte's one of the cagey drivers in this series.
See, in this corner, he makes a totally different line off that corner. He makes a big sweep and trying to get more straightaway speed so he can make that move on the outside.
You can see Labonte's not going to give him anything on the bottom.
You know, if he passes him, he's going to have to set up for dirt.
Or curb. Now these 2 are coming up as they come into turn 3. The next car ahead is the 5th place car of Doug Hevron. There's Hevron's blue number 75, the Food Country Olds at the bottom of your screen. Or Chevy, excuse me, that's a Chevy this year. And here come the leaders. So now the passing flag will be working for Hevron as David Green got just a little bit alongside there. Hevron, he's trying to lap as much traffic as he can to stay on the lead lap.
David Green's doing the perfect thing. He's filling that mirror of Terry's up with something to look at, a different approach every corner. I noticed when he runs the same pattern as Terry does, that he does not gain quite as much as when he goes to the outside in the middle part of the corner there.
But as you said, if there's one driver here or in Winston Cup racing who doesn't rattle, doesn't flinch, and doesn't kick the car around, it's Terry Labonte. We can get you a little further back in the field. We told you that Ricky Craven is 11th. Tommy Ellis is 12th, 2 laps down, and Michael Rich is 13th, 2 laps back. There's your 3rd place car of Kenny Wallace. 35 laps to go this time, and you're going to put Hevron a lap behind.
You know, Hevron's run a good race all day, but these cars are just hooked up just a little bit better. And I tell you, a 10th lap will get you right on the way from everybody.
Looks like Doug's car has fallen off just a little bit. That or he's looking for a place in line so as not to upset the flow of the lead battle.
This channel lock car could be leading the race if he hadn't had early problems. He's running quite well now.
Well, the field has gone pretty well single file with 35 laps to go here, so we'll take this pause from the Martinsville Speedway. These 5 cars on the lead lap. Be right back. To Martinsville, 30 laps to go, and the caution has come out for a harmless spin by Elton Sawyer, the Ford red carpet lease. At turn number 2, his Ford Thunderbird went around. There it is. Kind of all by himself.
Yeah, you could see when he got in that darker area up there how much junk is on the top.
Now here's what happened on the race back to the flag. David Green got right out alongside Labonte.
Yeah, this spin was, I know that it come at a bad time because Green had committed himself for that charge toward the front, but Terry beat him back to the line.
Maybe a little more to it on Elton Sawyer's car than just a spin. And Randy LaJoie is on pit road. Are they taking air out of the tires?
Yeah, it looks like you're changing the air pressure in the right side tires there.
As the last car on the lead lap, LaJoie had little to lose by pitting. 29 to go. 4 cars now on the lead lap as Doug Hevron had just gotten overlapped before the caution.
Yeah, that was a smart move on the 20 cars part. I mean, he was running like 4th anyhow, so that he didn't really lose anything, and on the restart he can close right up to the front.
1 to go.
He better hurry though.
Yes, that's right. He may not get around to get in line. Not sure they anticipated there being 1 lap to go. It is Terry Labonte, David Green, Kenny Wallace, and here's Glenn.
Mike, I asked Bob Labonte if the car was okay. He said, yeah. Terry said the car was okay. I said, does Terry think he can hold him off? Bob said, no, he doesn't think he can hold him off. Looks like Buddy's right. He said he could probably get around him on the outside.
Well, Randy LaJoie does get up and into line, so the front 4 will be nose to tail when they take the restart. Pace car leading them around. Field formed up tightly at turn 4. 28 laps to go. We're back under green. Labonte gets a good jump.
Boy, did he ever. He hadn't had a good start until just now, but that's the best start he's had all day.
That was the one he needed.
He can smell the green.
Lap car, Doug Hevron, 5th place car. Had just gone a lap down. There's Kenny Wallace getting under Michael Rich. A little bit of contact. Here's Randy LaJoie fighting Wallace. And a little bit of contact.
Well, now Randy's let the air pressure down in that right side, so the car will stick a little bit better. He should be able to move up.
Ricky Craven made a pit stop, goes 3 laps down. Front 2 nose to tail, then Hevron. And Dennis Setzer calls it a day. Parks the car. 25 to go. This is going to get interesting.
Always is. I love Martinsville. I love to watch the way everybody positions himself. Green, you know, he's in a spot there. He's running against his car owner's brother. He can't just run in there and bap him in the back end and turn him sideways or anything. He's got to be a little cautious about what he's doing. But he has so much car there. I think he'll make a move on the outside just like we seen a while ago. And I think he'll make it pull off.
Well,
he thinks so too.
I don't know. I think if he had to give Terry a nudge to beat him, there might be a little discussion at the Labonte breakfast table. But I mean, that's racing. Can you really consider who's in that other car, or do you just have to race him like everybody else?
Well, I can tell you, I was a teammate with Richard Petty, and it enters into the picture when you.
well, those were Richard Petty's cars.
Of course, I tell you, I didn't beat Richard that many times to have that concern, but. When we did have, you know, 1-2 finishes, you naturally think, well, we got first and second already. Don't do something stupid, you know, that would cost us all.
Terry Labonte has a lot of pressure to win. His sponsor has a lot of people here, and they're located very near Martinsville Speedway. David Green hasn't won in a while. He's running for the championship in this division. There's a lot of self-imposed pressure on him to win.
Yeah, and I think Terry's turned it up just a little bit too. I mean, when you get this close to the end, you kind of don't worry about how hard you go into the corner. I noticed that Green's not pulling up on him quite as quick as he did before.
Well, this looks, Buddy, a lot like the last restart, where Terry would be quick off the corner, quick from the middle of the corner on out, and it took quite a while of green flag racing before David Green could get alongside.
Well, Mike, you've called a million of these things, and you know it's a game of inches. I mean, if you can gain an inch on a car, that's a bunch at the end of 200 or 300 laps. So if Green's got anything, he's going to have to pull it out of the bag here pretty soon.
He's got 20 laps, 40 corners left to find away past Terry Labonte. Kenny Wallace is third. Randy LaJoie is fourth. 1 lap down. Doug Hebron is fifth. Tim Fedewa, Larry Pearson, Jim Bound, Johnny Rumley, and Rodney Combs are 1 lap down. 2 laps down now. Tommy Ellis and Michael Rich. 3 laps down. Ricky Craven. 7 laps back. Robert Presley. And 8 laps down. Tommy Houston, Stevie Reeves, Randy Porter.
Well, I tell you right now, they're almost evenly matched. And right behind there, you have 2 cars that are really going at it, too. Randy LaJoie has pulled down on Wallace now, and they're running really close. You see them coming off the corner here.
Good battle.
Yeah, that's a good battle.
Third place at stake there. So 2 Chevys fighting for first, and 2 Ford and a Chevy fighting for third. 16 laps to go. Fedewa and Pearson are side by side entering turn 1. That's a good race as well. That's for position.
Would you say it's head by a tick right there?
No, I would never say that. Oh, boy.
Well, I had to have one in there as bad as the ones you've thrown out today. Sorry, guys. I won't do that anymore.
Till next time. 15 laps to go. And Larry Pearson did pass Tim Fedewa, and that was for 6th place. David Green right back on the bumper of Labonte. There they are, front straightaway. And traffic is ahead. In the form of Robert Presley, Randy Porter, Mike Garvey. They will be a factor.
That's the one thing you always worry about in the closing laps of a race is what kind of traffic am I going to get into, and am I going to get through there as clean as the 2nd place car? Am I going to get caught behind the car that slows for some reason and maybe lose the race by making a bad move in traffic?
We'll give a call to Robert Presley. He got completely out of the throttle, let that lead group by. Now they move past Porter and come up on Mike Garvey. And so traffic is not a factor here. Ricky Craven, next car ahead.
You know, you see Mike Garvey there. I'm going to just talk for a second because this is a replay of just a while ago. But Mike Garvey's been out there all day, and you say, why would a guy get out there and ride around like that? Mainly to prove that they don't quit. And like Richard Petty used to tell me, we're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but we're not going to quit because we're losing. And I always thought about that in my racing career. You know, you don't quit just because you're off a little bit.
Good point. First, second. Here's third and fourth. Wallace and LaJoie. Well, David Green is going to have to reach into that hat pretty quickly here. He has 10 laps.
Wow.
10 laps left.
Yeah, this is when you let it all go here. You don't worry about the brakes. If you still got them, you use them.
Gets a little closer going into the corner, and Terry pulls him out of the corner.
You know, one thing you can bet, nobody's saving anything now. You see David Green making that move to the outside, but Terry will come off the corner just a little bit stronger and close the door on him coming out of the corner there. What he's doing, he's using a lot more tire up in the 44 car, trying to make that move on the outside. He's going to have to cool himself, run the same groove as Terry Labonte's running, and hope for a mistake, I think.
Hope Terry Labonte makes a mistake?
Well, he just about made one just then.
2 chances of that happening.
Slim and 9.
No, Slim and Jim.
Oh, Slim and Jim. Okay.
8 laps to go. David Green. He was alongside Labonte. I think probably had the pass made and the caution came out. I mean, he hadn't made it, but he was there, and he's there again.
I thought you was going to say, don't break my window, Slim.
Oh. Pretty close. He's rapping on the pane. He's got the window unlocked, and he's starting to lift, okay? 6 to go. is so good going into the corner, and right there, Labonte shows his strength.
Yeah, he's going to have to run a duplicate lap to the 14 and hope for a mistake, I believe. So Terry's not the type that's going to let him get the jump on him.
Terry's not the type to make a mistake. 5 laps to go. Bob Labonte up there.
Bob's the winner either way.
That's right. And it's a car length and a half. And again, Green goes way deep into the corner, but now can he come out with Labonte? Tom Peck ahead. 4 laps to go. And Labonte won't give him anything on the inside. Going to be one more lap car to deal with, perhaps.
That's our camera car. I know he won't be a problem.
Labonte just a little double twitch of the wheel as he comes off the corner. 3 to go. Green's going to try it again.
There you go. Oh,
up the outside.
All the way up the side of him.
But not coming off the corner. It'll be 2 laps this time. Tom Peck stands hard on the brakes to give the leaders an unimpeded path around the outside. And almost got gathered up in it. 2 to go. David Green again takes it down hard into the corner, comes right up to the right rear wheel of Labonte, who slams the window in his face.
Coming up for the white flag.
This will be it. And Tommy Houston in trouble way up on the outside. Drops down out of the way. 1 lap to go. White flag. Traffic ahead. Last chance for David Green. Labonte comes up half a car with Green is there. Labonte powers off the corner once again.
What a great drive by both of these guys. I'm going to tell you, Green has done everything he could do, and he's going to make one more. Cannot pull it off.
Look to the inside. Labonte will win it. Terry Labonte scores his 4th career Busch win. Kenny Wallace holding off Randy LaJoie for 4th. And Labonte will now lead the Busch Grand National standings by a whopping 159 points. A lot of fellas here are going to be glad he's not running this whole season, because he has been tough.
He just might.
For his hometown sponsor MW Windows, Terry Labonte will be driving into victory lane when we come back. Terry Labonte defeats David Green, Kenny Wallace, Randy LaJoie, Doug Hevron, your top 5. Here at the Martinsville Speedway, Larry Pearson in 6th, Tim Fiedel was 7th, Johnny Rumley 8th, Rodney Combs 9th, Michael Rich, good finish, he's 10th, 11th, unofficially Ricky Craven, 12th Robert Presley, 13th Stevie Reeves, 14th is Mike Porter, and unofficially 15th would be Tommy Houston. Terry Labonte had to get through a lot of traffic there behind the pit wall at the gas pumps to try to get to victory lane, where Glenn Jarrett's standing by. Saw David Green being interviewed by radio and being congratulated.
You see all these marks down the right side of that race car. That's what you call really getting through Martinsville without any incidents there. Because, I mean, everybody's going to touch somebody during the day here.
There's the best left turn Labonte's had to make all day. The one that goes to victory lane, and he is out here to the front straightaway area, where they're setting up, I believe, for pre-race for the late model stock car event. Victory lane here at Martinsville is now down between turns 1 and 2, but it's going to be on the front straightaway today. Terry's getting out of the car. Goes, where is everybody? He said, I don't know where it was.
I don't know where to go, he said.
That's okay.
Victory Circle is way down at the end of pit road. He has actually come up here where they would introduce the car drivers for the next race.
Right, and here doing the quarter-mile dash is an about to be out of breath slightly Glenn Jarrett. Terry, don't go away.
The hardest part about the whole day for Terry Labonte was finding victory lane, but you sure earned your name the Iceman. Iceman, what a great run.
Well, thank you. I've never won here before, and I didn't know where victory lane was, but it was a great run for MW Windows Chevrolet. I'd like to dedicate this win to a good friend, Dick McCabe. He lost his wife this weekend. He runs the Busch North Series. Good friend of ours, and you know, it was a real tragedy. So we'd like to say hello to them and wish them well.
Terry, you ran the last 60, 70 laps with the guy filling up your mirror. Looked like he had a faster race car, yet you were able to hold him off.
Well, I tell you what, that flag came out, saved me a little bit because I was about out of brakes and my tires were hot and he was catching me. He was on the outside of me there when the flag came out. I think he had me beat, but we were able to hold him off there at the end.
Great run by Terry Labonte. We're going to take a break, guys. I'm out of breath. I had to chase him down.
Okay, Glenn. We'll be back to wrap things up here at Martinsville. There's second place finisher David Green as Terry Labonte scores the second win of the season here at Martinsville.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft 500 exclusively on TNN has been brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm.
Fourth career win for Terry Labonte today. David Green. Last win for him, April '91 at Lanier Raceway in Georgia, but he picks up a lot of points today. Good strong run for Kenny Wallace, finishing third. First Ford to finish. Randy LaJoie picks up the fourth spot. Doug Heveron fifth. Larry Pearson, Tim Fedewa, Johnny Rumley, Rodney Combs all 1 lap down. Tommy Ellis 2 laps back in 10th. According to our unofficial rundown, Michael Rich had a good strong run today. Ricky Craven, Stevie Reeves, Robert Presley, and Randy Porter, the top 15. Then Tommy Houston, Bobby Dotter, Johnny Benson, after a lot of time behind the wall, came back to finish 18th. Mike Garvey and Elton Sawyer, the top 20 here at Martinsville today. And our thoughts are with Dick McCabe and his family up in Kennebunkport, Maine, the operator of McCabe Bait Company. They make lobster bait, and his wife, Roseanne, fell victim to an aneurysm and passed away on Friday. And our thoughts are with the family there, as expressed by Terry Labonte. We'll speak to you next in 2 weeks from Hickory, North Carolina, on the 3rd mile there. For Glenn Jarrett, Buddy Baker, I'm Mike Joy saying so long from Martinsville.
Keeps car down pretty well that time, Brett.
That time, I think he learned from the last trip through there when Larry got up alongside of him coming off the 2. Actually, he's holding the car down low all the way around the corner. Larry might be looking to the outside the next time by.
And 7 to go. It'll be 6 next time by. And what you're watching once again is the battle for second position. LaJoie in the blue car, the Chevrolet, in the green car you just saw leave your picture. That's the leader. About a 3-second differential, back to second and third.
You're right, though. The Pearson car is beating LaJoie down in 1 and 2. Uh-oh. Pearson trying on the inside. Got a run going. Oh, LaJoie comes right down to the white line. He's just telling Pearson, you're going to have to do it on the outside. Larry's still going to try it on the inside. Got a good run this time, Brett.
He pulled even down the front straight and just drove right by him. I think Randy was experiencing a loose driving race car with Larry Pearson tucked up behind him.
Yeah.
And once again, remember, folks, this car you're watching here, how impressive is this run? The car number 92 a moment ago, he started dead last, 43rd field. You can't get any further toward the back unless you're back there in one of the wreckers helping them get started. That's where Larry Pearson began a week ago at Richmond and here. And here's Tracy Leslie been able to go by and take the 3rd spot away from Randy LaJoie.
LaJoie's got some serious problems. I think Brent's riding the car just as loose as it can be.
And he's, if you look behind LaJoie, here comes Terry Labonte in the car number 14.
I believe the motor's gone sour in the 20 car. He's losing speed down the straightaways. His corner speed's still pretty good, but his straightaway speed has gone all the pieces on him. He might have dropped the cylinders.
What a tough break for Randy LaJoie after some great runs. And apparently we have confirmed it is the engine. And Bob Rinaldi, who builds the motors for Dick Moroso, built them bulletproof, but this one just came about 3.5 laps short of getting him a good top 3 or 4 finish.
4th place car, Randy Porter's worked his way back up. He's got those fresh tires, and watch how he closes up on the back of Tracy Leslie in the Detroit gasket car.
High above, Leslie's the red car. Porter behind him is the white car. 2 laps to go, and now Porter comes down out of turn 4, across the start-finish line. Let's see if he can get him headed into turn 1.
This is a race for third place because our leader, Harry Gant, he's in another world. And watch as Porter goes on the outside. He's going to take that spot away, Brett.
The tires right now are starting to show up. The tires that they changed on that last caution. And the car is definitely handling better through the middle. Tracy Leslie has better straightaway speed, but it looks like Randy can hang on that outside a little bit better grip.
White flag this time by. Now, Gant has already taken the white flag. You're watching a battle for third position. Final lap. Detroit gasket car, Tracy Leslie, as they are door-to-door in contact with turn 1. Whoa, Leslie hangs on, and now here comes Terry Labonte, who will take the spot away. He takes 4th, Leslie is 5th, and his 3rd, 4th, and 5th you're watching there. Meanwhile, Harry Gant is less than a quarter mile away from getting his first win in over a year. In fact, almost 2 years. 23 months ago, Gant went to victory lane, and he does it for the first time in 1994. Manheim Auction Chevrolet takes the victory. Ed Whitaker's car. What a great finish. And Brett, I know you got to run and then go get in your Winston Cup car. And thanks for joining us up here today and being a part of this great Busch Series show.
I had a great time, guys. This replay of the pass.
Tracy Leslie and Randy Porter go down in the corner, and watch as Tracy goes up the racetrack just a little bit, just touches the left rear, tries to get the car off of Porter's. Tracy almost spun himself out trying to keep from spinning Randy Porter out. And here comes Terry Labonte.
Terry had the momentum build up. Tracy doing all he could to get his car under control. Almost made contact there, exiting the second turn.
Brent, thanks so much, buddy. Good luck tomorrow.
I appreciate it, guys. Ned, get better. Get back here next time.
We'll hear from Harry Gant in victory lane when we come back to Atlanta Motor Speedway after this. Stay with us. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, a big smile from Harry Gant. And what a job he has done here at this race. It's an unbelievable finish for Harry Gant to be able to get a win here, the first one in 1994. Let's go down to John Kernan.
Well, a victorious Harry Gant getting congratulations from everyone. Bob Newton in, of course, the Hoosier tire today. And Harry, the car just looked absolutely perfect.
It sure did. You know, the Manheim Chevrolet that Ed Whitaker and the boys up there in Bristol prepared. I couldn't believe it was that good today. You just rode around and, you know, it just sort of turned itself. The only car, you know, that really would give me trouble was Mark. And but he and I was the same, you know. I mean, I let him lead there. I was sitting behind him right there, you know, and I knew my tires would go a little longer. But that was the only car that I think could really run with this one today.
You know, on the farewell tour this year, and you've had a few disappointments, but this has got to really make you feel good, right?
This has got to be good. You know, the biggest thrill, the biggest thing I hope for every year is to get our sponsor in Victory Lane. Got our new sponsor, Manheim. And boy, I sure wanted to get them in Victory Lane bad. You know, we had some good runs with the car, and they come in here today. I think it's the first time Manheim's been in Victory Lane, and the Hoosiers just done a super good job today for us.
How encouraging is this as far as going tomorrow? I mean, this is always seems to be a really great track for you.
Well, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. You know, we hope so. We got a good running car tomorrow, the Scobanny Chevrolet, and you know, we just hope that we'll have a good luck tomorrow as we had today.
All right, Harry, again, congratulations for the win, Jerry.
And they're celebrating in our split fire winner's circle down there. Harry gets a big hug from the folks down there at Manheim Auction, and Peggy, his wife, as they celebrate Harry's 21st career Busch Grand National Series victory here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back in a moment. Speedway coverage being brought to you by Goodyear, #1 in tires. By Valvoline, people who know use Valvoline. And by Allied Signals Fram filters. You can pay a little now or a lot later. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, crowd filing out after a great afternoon. Beautiful day for racing here. Celebration continues down there with Harry Gant becoming once again a record rider here in the books at 54 years of age, winning, going to victory lane. A little controversy earlier today involving a couple of drivers, and John Kerning is standing by with one of them.
Well, Mike Wallace involved in that first lap crash. We've already heard that Shauna and Joe kind of say it's your fault. Do you have any thing to say about that?
Well, I don't know how anybody can figure it's my fault. I wasn't involved in the wreck. I didn't touch nobody. You know, I led the first lap of the race. I mean, yet that I know if there's anything wrong with doing that. If you look at the right side of my car, it's perfect. I believe you look at the left side of the pole car, it's perfect. It appears the right side's tore up. I mean, I don't know what anybody's blaming me for. I mean, we've seen this happen numerous times. Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace goes for the lead on the first lap, and they're heroes. All of a sudden, I've done it. And, you know, sometimes you got to use a little common sense between your foot and your brain to say lift if I'm in a bad situation. It appears somebody didn't lift that got in a bad situation and wanted to blame it on me. I didn't do anything wrong. I led the first lap of the race. I didn't touch anybody, so I don't know what the statements are, what the comments are. That was a race, and that was it.
Okay, I'll let you, on one comment, I believe it one of the drivers, I believe it was Shauna, said that you had made the statement that you were going to try and get her loose and try and get by her, or maybe it was Joe who said it. They both had made mention of that you had plans to do that. Did you make those statements?
Let me tell you, John, that is the silliest statement anybody in the world could ever make. I've wrecked here. I know how hard it hurts to wreck. If I would have did that, she could have wrecked in front of me. Joe could have wrecked in front of me. You know, that's normally called laying the guilt on somebody else, the blame on somebody else. Joe's been around. Shauna's been around. I was on the bottom. I stayed on the bottom of the racetrack. And I think they're crying the blues for something that might have been their fault, not mine, and I'm the only scapegoat because those two were out of the race and I was still racing. It's easy to criticize somebody for something that you might have something to do with, and you can get out and walk away before the blame is placed. I didn't do anything wrong. I ran a good race. You know, we had problems at the end of the race. The Duran Paints FDP brakes car had an oil leak. We were courteous enough to the other competitors to get to the bottom of the racetrack, try to finish it. So basically, I think they're upset because of a decision they did wrong in the race car. I was in that same predicament 2 weeks ago at Rockingham. We run 3 wide down in the corner. I lifted. I was in the center. I wasn't going to cause a wreck. It backed me up 3 spots on the final lap. That's where I used my sense. That's my comment.
Well, that's the words from Michael Walter, or Mike Wallace. I'm sorry, Mike. Some of us little tense down here, Jerry, as you might imagine.
Well, Mike coming out to talk to us now. You've heard from all 3 principals involved in that first lap incident. Here's taking a look at the official finish here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Benny Parsons, I like being able to hear from all 3 people. We heard from Joe Nemechek, we heard from Shauna Robinson, and Mike Wallace had his opinion.
Well, of course, and they're all 3 got different opinions. It's 2-1, obviously. But people, you watch the video. Hey, you know what you saw?
You make the call.
You make the call.
A great afternoon of racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 43 cars started. What a great run for the car number 92, who started dead last and finished in 2nd spot, Larry Pearson. Take a look at the point standings here. Terry Labonte, Harry Gant, Hermie Sadler holds on the 3rd spot. Kenny Wallace is 4th, and Chad Little is 5th. Once again, for Benny Parsons, Brett Bodine, John Kernan, and Kyle Petty, I'm Jerry Punch, congratulating Harry Gant for his win and saying so long from Atlanta Motor Speedway.